wait, we'll be in London the same time as Wimbledon. Think we'll be able to go? And we were thinking like, it's a long shot, probably won't happen. So we basically waited in line and we were like, we don't even know if we're gonna get in. And happened. We're in here and like it's pretty surreal. Let's just see if we can go to center court, maybe get a picture. That would be really cool. We see that every single spot to get in has a guard watching to make sure you have a ticket. 7,000 for the nosebleed seats, so we're all the way up at the top. So then I'm like, okay, there's one spot where there's nobody checking. Hey, this is Nadal's grandma and you're in her seat. Where's your ticket?
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 100 of the Andrew Deitsch podcast. It is truly a momentous occasion. Can't believe it. When I originally started this thing, I, set out to get to episode 100, but I had no idea if I would ever reach 100 episodes, and it was always my goal, Every other podcast that I respected had well over 100 episodes, and I felt like if I could reach that, triple-digit milestone, it would be one of the biggest achievements I could imagine for the show. And it definitely hasn't been as quick as I'd hoped, but we are finally here, I don't know if you guys have heard of the idea that the last miles of a race are the hardest, but that's definitely been especially true for this race. Around my 1-year anniversary, I hit a wall like really hard. I was just bummed out, like motivationally and technically. I ran into a bunch of problems, and I talked about it ad nauseum over the most recent episodes, but thankfully at the same time, I've been offered so many opportunities and pathways because of what I've created with the show. And around the time of the 1-year anniversary, I was still working a day job and trying to figure out how to monetize the podcast. And on top of that, I had a huge trip to Europe looming ahead of me. Over the past 18 months, I've really learned a lot about myself, and I realized that I tend to overcommit. And it can be a positive thing, but it also shows how strongly I believe in myself. But it was in the midst of launching, a new business. I was dipping my hands into so many different things at the same time. And it was just, stressing me out and overwhelming me. But it was also pulling me away from the thing that really started me off on all these new paths, which was the podcast. And as I think back, on the beginning, I was pumping out multiple episodes a week, sometimes multiple episodes a day. Man, things were so much simpler back then. I didn't feel the pressure of promotion so hard, It was like a project that I felt like nobody was really paying attention to. So I just didn't care, and I was just pumping them out. But nothing could be further from the truth. People were paying attention, and I think those first few months were the energy that really catapulted my show into relevance, But, something that a lot of shows never even get to experience. But anyways, if you've been paying attention to me on social media, you know that this year I've been traveling more than I have in my entire life. It's been an amazing year. That was one of the motivating factors behind actually starting this podcast, was to travel more. And I just got back from New York City a few days ago, spent the weekend there, a few days with my family. And it's just felt like for the past 6 months, it's been nonstop traveling for me. In 2018, I've taken 25 flights so far, and I think I have a few more coming up next month. But before I jump into the show, I promise we'll get there. Just give me my moment. It's episode 100 after all. But this episode has been brought to you by the Andrew Deitsch Podcast Internship Program. And that's right, the internship program. The podcast is growing, and we are looking for some interns. We have a studio now. And the main thing is you won't just be treated as a coffee runner or just some bullshit like busy worker. We're looking for an addition to our team who we can value their opinions and their input. We're looking for someone who with an entrepreneurial spirit, a passion for learning, an open mind, and a pretty solid understanding of podcast and social media culture. And so if you or anyone you know is looking for opportunities in live video production, videography, video editing, audio editing, graphic design, animation, photography, social media, public relations, podcast scheduling, preparation, research, script writing, copywriting, and much more, then please visit andrewdeitsch.com/internships for more details and to apply. Again, that's andrewdeitsch.com/internships. If you know anybody, or if you are someone that sounds like you might fit those criteria, check it out. Could be awesome. But anyways, let's get back to the episode. So back in July, my brother and I set off for a trip around Europe. We visited 9 countries in 6 weeks, and we had an absolute blast. Matthew is no stranger to the show. It's actually his 3rd episode. So if you want to hear Matthew's story and about his previous solo adventures in Europe last year, then go check out episode 51 and episode 67 before you listen to this one. But we talked about his trip, or we talked about our trip, and we shared a lot of tips and tricks if you want to go on a similar adventure. And this was an awesome episode, and I love talking with my brother. Again, spent 6 weeks with him. So without any further ado, please welcome my younger brother, Matthew Deitsch. We are live. Matthew Deitsch.
We live.
We live, y'all. Matthew, this is the 3rd time you've been on the podcast, right?
3rd podcast.
That's close to, I think that's tying for the record.
I hold the record now. And I also hold the 100 episodes, so.
That is very true. So
this is special.
This is a very special episode. Episode 100. I originally said that I was going to release episode 100 like back in May.
Yeah, but then we did some stuff.
Yes, we did. We definitely did some stuff. But one interesting thing about that was I was supposed to release episode 100 back in May, and I even told you even said like, "Are you gonna be able to get to 100 episodes?" And I was like, "Yeah, it'll be easy."
Yeah, you were supposed to do it by your birthday.
Yeah. Well, to my defense, I did upload 100 uploads by my birthday, just not 100 full-length conversational episodes.
Yeah.
So, kind of counts, but also kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Because
you hit a roadblock with the.
Yep, exactly. And we don't even have to get into all that because I've apologized like a million times about it, and I'm kind of done apologizing because guess what? I don't need to apologize to anyone because this is my show, son.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyways, welcome to episode 100. Very special.
Thanks. Congrats on 100 episodes.
Thanks, man. Feels weird. Feels cool because 100 episodes was like my, I guess, checkpoint that I wanted to get to where I felt legit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like having 100 episodes. If you look at some other really successful podcasts, like pretty much all of them are over 100 episodes.
Yeah. It's also like, too, the thing of where people always say, oh, you just have to go at it for a year or whatever without giving up and see what happens. So now you feel like you've passed that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it is kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, so we're here, and we just got off of a pretty long trip.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
6 weeks and some days, and you had one more day.
Yeah, I had one more day. But let's recap our trip, and then let's dive into the specifics, because I think people are very interested as to what and how and the length and everywhere we went. So
yeah,
where did we go first? Well, we went one place in America first.
Yeah. So actually, we started in Atlanta, obviously.
Yes.
That's where we live. And then we went to Detroit. Then from Detroit, we flew to Reykjavik, Iceland. Then from Reykjavik, we went to London. And then from there, Amsterdam, Brussels, then Amsterdam, and then back to Brussels, and then back to Amsterdam. And then we flew to Portugal, and then took 2 buses to Spain. And then from there, Budapest, Hungary, and then
Vienna
for
a little bit longer than we expected to be in there, but
yeah.
At the end it was like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, but only like 3 actually enjoyable. After the 3rd hour, it just went south.
Yeah.
But anyway, after Vienna, then Rome, then I went home, and then you had one more day, then you went home.
Yeah. So even though that was like pretty long of an explanation, that's about as short of an explanation that we could give about our trip.
I know, every time people are always like, so where'd you go? And then I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah,
start rolling out the list.
Yeah, you start going, okay, first we went to Detroit, then we went to Iceland, then we went to London. They're like, okay, cool. And then you're like, that's not even half of it.
Yeah. That was like a week, maybe.
Yeah, so people were, they didn't know what they were in for when they asked us how our trip was going and where we'd gone and everything yet. But so let's backtrack a little bit. So Detroit was our first stop.
Yeah.
And
a cousin's wedding. Congrats, John and Maggie.
John and Maggie getting married. We went with our parents. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
The reception was fun. Very fun wedding.
It was quick, nice and easy.
They had a bunch of stickers at the reception, and Matthew and I basically made a challenge to try to stick as many stickers on people without them knowing. We got my cousin Patrick a lot.
Yeah.
I got him a ton without him knowing, and then also we got the groom. We got my cousin John like a ton, and I'm pretty sure some of them got in some of the pictures, like the official photographer pictures, which is pretty hilarious. I hope they don't Photoshop them out because I really want to see that.
Yeah, that would be
It's just so funny to me putting stickers on people without them knowing, because it's so dumb, it's so childish, but it's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah, and then I was walking around thinking, I'm going to get somebody, and then you guys had gotten me like 10 times.
Yeah, we got Matthew like literally at least 10 times, and we were sneaking around, and he's like, dude, I'm about to get this guy. But he had no idea that there was any on his back, which is pretty hilarious. But anyways, so we went to Detroit. That was fun. We stayed there for what, like 3 days or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we went to Cedar Point, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was sick.
Cedar Point's sick.
Cedar Point, if you haven't been to Cedar Point, it is like the best roller coaster park in the world. Like if you really want to ride roller coasters. It got me on like a theme park kick for a while.
Yeah.
I was like,
the only thing it lacks is when you go to Disney World or other places, there's lots of cool indoor rides that are like new technology. Theirs are just straight stealing cars. There's not very much.
Yeah. There's not
much show to the rides.
No.
Like when you go to Universal or something, the new Harry Potter ride, that thing is like crazy. Have you ridden that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually going there in a couple weeks.
Are you going to Universal or Disney?
We're going to, what's the one in Tampa? Is that Busch Gardens?
Yeah.
We're going to Busch Gardens.
Or SeaWorld.
We're not going to SeaWorld. We're going to Busch Gardens, Universal Studios, and Disney World. So nice. I think one day for each of them.
Nice.
And I think for Disney World, we're trying to go to 2 parks in one day.
Good luck.
I think Epcot and Magic Kingdom. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but anyways, it'll be cool. Going with Katia Sarmiento from episode 40-something, 47? I don't know. But she invited me out. I'm making a video for the trip, so that's going to be pretty dope.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I got lumped in. There's a bunch of like badass entrepreneurs going. It's like this big mastermind they're doing in Orlando, and I'm doing the video for it.
Is she organizing the trip? Or?
Yeah, her and like a couple other people.
Oh, nice.
Basically, it was like, I'm pretty sure it's, to be honest, super lame name for the trip. It's called like Young Ballers Mastermind or something like that. I'm like, that is so lame. But honestly, I think that they wanted to have like some sort of co-working thing because it's like a week long, and like half of it is like co-working, and then the other half of it is like having fun in the parks.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some days where we're like doing mastermind kind of like business stuff, and then like, and we have like a sick Airbnb with a pool.
Is everybody going?
Everyone's staying in the same Airbnb, so it's like a big
sweet.
Airbnb. Yeah, it's gonna be tight.
Fun.
Yeah, we did like something similar in Portugal.
Yeah,
it's gonna be kind of like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like super excited, but anyways, yes, I agree. Like Universal and Disney World have the decorations and the immersion on lock, and Cedar Point just like does not.
Yeah.
Disaster Transport was their last attempt at that, and it was pretty bad, pretty cringy and pretty bad.
Yeah, it was like how old do you think that ride was?
Interestingly enough, if you I was listening to this. I shout out to the podcast Defunct Land. If you're really into theme parks and stuff like that, Defunct Land is super interesting because it talks about all the old defunct rides that are in all these other theme parks and stuff. Mainly Disney World it started off as, but now they just talk about all sorts of different stuff. And the podcast is normally interviews with people that worked at the parks at the time, so they talk about it. But there's a YouTube channel, Defunct Land, and it's really cool because it shows like videos and like shows the backstory of all the rides and everything. Like they did one on Disaster Transport, and funny enough, so it actually used to be a water ride that was basically a water sled type ride that they then converted to a dry roller coaster.
That makes sense, actually. I don't really remember the ride, to be honest.
It was weird because if you remember the roller coaster, it still had the kind of like tube thing that you would like if it was a water ride. But the problem is at the time they were trying to build up Lake Erie, like the beachfront, and they thought that the water ride looked kind of ugly right on the beach. So then they were like, let's put a building around it. Oh no, I remember what it was. It was the sand and the water and the salt and stuff from the beach was getting in the water ride. So it would slow it down. So then they had to put a building around it so that it would be like a regular track ride and be protected from the elements. And then people complained that it was like an eyesore because they were trying to build up the beach. So then they tore it down, and that's when they built Gatekeeper.
Oh yeah.
So now Gatekeeper's there, and it's
yeah,
way
that
better.
ride's sick.
But if you watch the video about disaster transport, it's pretty hilarious because it showed how like shitty the decorations were, and like most of the animatronics like broke after the first year, and they never fixed them.
Yeah.
And like the storyline was so weak. Like, what even is the point of the ride? Like, you know, when you go on a really well-designed ride, like the Harry Potter ride, during the whole line experience, they're like showing you what's going to happen, and like, you know, like
Tower of Terror.
Like Tower of Terror, great theming, great storyline. Or like, you know, just any ride that's not disaster transport. Most of the time at Disney World or anything like that, you know, you kind of know what's happening. Yeah. And in disaster transport, you don't understand the storyline. It's basically like a ripoff of Space Mountain.
Yeah, it's like in the ballpark of as bad as the Monster Mansion at Six Flags.
The Monster Mansion wasn't a thrill ride though, but still, Monster Mansion was cringy.
It's still there.
Yeah, it's still just like bad.
Don't go in the marsh.
Oh no, these stupid humans are going in the marsh. Yeah, if you've gone to Six Flags over Georgia, do yourself a favor and don't ride the Monster Mansion ride unless it's hot or it's raining, because it's inside and it's air conditioned.
Yeah.
Other than that, spare yourself a terrible time. But anyway, so we went to Cedar Point. We tried to ride, like, we pretty much rode every roller coaster that was like fun. The new one, Steel Vengeance, was dope.
Yeah, that one was really cool.
That one was sick. Apparently got shut down the other day because someone threw a pack of barbecue sauce in someone's face from the line, and the kid got arrested. So like someone like tossed the barbecue sauce up in the air as the cart like came by, and someone got really hurt. But honestly, that's freaking hilarious because that reminds me of something me and Matthew would have done when we were like 12.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, me and Matthew are like pretty into roller coasters, and Cedar Point is like the pinnacle. Our whole family is like pretty into theme parks.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we went to Cedar Point. That was dope. And then the next day, basically, our parents flew back to Atlanta and took all of our stuff that we didn't need. Suits. So that was super convenient, because if we would have had to travel with our suits and all that shit,
yeah,
honestly,
I would have just shipped down.
Yeah, I was gonna say we would have figured out a way to get it home, because that would have been a nightmare. Because our main goal, like when a lot of people think of a Europe trip, they're like, oh, well, you gotta pack a lot of stuff for 6 weeks.
Yeah, but most people, like every time I explain to people, they're like, oh, well, man, that's a lot of traveling. And I'm like, well, it's not as bad, because me and Andrew both had carry-on size luggage. So pretty much any of a lot of the European airlines have smaller carry-on restrictions than they even do in America.
Much smaller. So
you have to be really careful about that. Luckily, we never flew. I've never actually flown Ryanair, but I've heard Ryanair is really strict about it.
Yeah. I've gotten my stuff on Ryanair before.
Yeah, I was able to put all my stuff, even my small backpack, into mine, but I don't think you would have been able to.
No, I brought too much gear. I had my camera with me, which I'm glad I brought at the end of the day, because I did use it like a decent bit. Didn't use it as much as I thought I would, and I also had all my podcasting gear with me. Oh yeah, I forgot. I recorded a podcast when we were in Detroit with oh my gosh, what's her name? Claudia Jakubiak. She has a travel blog, and that episode was actually episode 99. So if you're listening to episode 100 right now, then you can go back and listen to that one. But we recorded that in Detroit. That was fun. But anyways, to go back, so all the carry-on stuff, like I brought like my camera, my podcasting gear, and I had a few more things that you didn't have.
Yeah.
But Actually, I've recorded a video. I haven't edited it yet, but I want, by the time I release this podcast, I'm going to have it edited and up on my YouTube channel. And it's a video actually of everything that I brought in my bag.
Oh, nice.
And also a review of my REI bag. Because when I was buying my carry-on size backpack, I was trying to do a lot of research. And I was going to buy the bag that you have, which is the Osprey Farpoint 40.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying the REI Ruck Pack 40. It's actually like a pretty new bag, and there wasn't that many reviews about it, but there was one really good review on YouTube about it. So I actually 2 pretty good reviews, but one was like way better than the other one. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make another review too because I wanted to like spread the word of how good that backpack is.
Yeah, that thing seemed. The problem with mine is there's just no pockets in there. So when you're packing it and you take out all the stuff in the main compartment, all the stuff in the front just falls down to the bottom. So if you were to put the stuff back in, you have to like be like, okay, stick this one and slide it in there, and it's all just like Tetris stacked up in there. So that's the only bad thing about the Osprey one. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and honestly,
it's pretty solid. I feel like I could take that thing on a lot more trips, and it's never gonna break. I mean,
yeah, and I felt really confident about my new bag too. Like the REI one is like sick. It's also very like sleek. Mm-hmm. It doesn't scream like tourist right away.
Yeah.
It's pretty like, even though it is big, it's still carry-on sized. Mm-hmm. And like now when I look at some of the big luggage that we have, it looks massive.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, holy shit. But the other key was both of us this year only brought one pair of shoes.
Yeah, that was the best decision ever because last year I took a Europe trip as well. We talked about in the last episode.
Yeah, if you want to hear about Matthew's last trip that he did by himself, listen to that one. I think it was episode 67 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was called like solo trip for 2 months or something like that. Yeah,
he went to Europe by himself or something
like that. Yeah,
like
something like that, yeah.
But anyway, I think it would also be interesting to find someone who works for TSA to try to get to explain how to fly with the stuff you have the proper way, because every single time we went through the airport, Andrew's bag would get scanned and they're pulled to the side and they'd say, oh, we're going to search your bag. And then every time some TSA agent would yell at him like, or not TSA, because over there
well, TSA stands for like Travel Security Administration, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I think that's like an American,
I'm sure it's similar
that's like a U.S.
guidelines.
Government thing. And then, like, in each country, it's probably, I mean, because they don't have,
it's probably very similar.
In Italy, it's not going to be called TSA because TSA is not the abbreviation for that. You know what I mean? It's probably like...
But anyway, back to the point.
I'm not going to make...
So every single airport we would go to, Andrew's bag would get extra searched, and then some guy would tell him basically he's an idiot for not taking this out or this out or this out. And every time, it was something else. Oh, you didn't take your camera out the right way. Oh, your laptop's wrong. Oh, just put your liquids into this size bag or take them out. It's just ridiculous.
I ended up, well, you know what's hilarious? I think it was, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. We went through security in so many freaking airports.
Yeah.
But on my way back, when I had to go, when I took my connection in New York and landed. Oh yeah, that was one other thing we didn't mention. Is we both had layovers in New York on the way back.
Yeah.
So we also went to New York at the end of our trip as well. So even though we didn't explore the city, we technically went to New York too.
Yeah.
But New York, when I had to rescan my bag, it was the first time they wanted to look at my podcasting setup.
Huh.
They wanted to look inside there, and the lady was really interested about it. She was like, "This thing is so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's how I record a podcast." She's like, "Wow, that is so neat. I'd never seen one of them." So it was pretty funny. Like, but yeah, you're so right. Like every time my bag would get checked, it was always something. The first time, it was my microphone that goes on top of my camera. They said, oh yeah, next time, position it this way so we can see what it is, because the x-ray scans down, so it looked like, something.
Yeah, and I think for me, actually, the most ironic thing was, at some airports, I'd be like, okay, we're in a hurry. I'm just going to take out anything that I think might get flagged. And I feel like when I did that, a lot of times, even the stuff I took out, they would still want to take a second look. But then when we flew back from Rome to America, where there's even like a separate screening that is supposed to be more intense, I didn't take anything out of there, put my bag through, and it came out perfectly fine. They didn't want to even look at it. So it's like...
Well, that's the thing, dude, is like the liquids thing, Mainly, I'm pretty sure what TSA is trying to do, what airport security is trying to do, is check for explosives, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the main thing. And weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything else other than that, they kind of don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And so they want to make sure that all your electronics are not bombs. You know, they want to make sure that it works and all that stuff. But the thing is like, I had so many electronics on me. I had my laptop. I had my big fat DSLR camera. I had the microphone that goes on top of that. I had my podcasting set up right here. I had a bunch of external batteries to charge everything. I had a ton of cords to charge everything. I also had the microphones that go with my podcasting setup. I mean, I had a lot of electronics.
Yeah.
And when you have that much electronics, like, it just throws up a lot of red flags.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how many things I took out because they were going to scan it again anyways. They wanted to take a second look. So by the end of it, a lot of times I would just leave everything in my bag, including my liquids, whatever. I didn't care. That was the other thing. I had very minimal liquids.
Yeah,
the
same.
only liquids I had was a tiny bottle of shampoo and my toothpaste and a little bottle of sunscreen. And I think did they take my sunscreen? I don't think they ever took my sunscreen.
Another thing that a lot of people, if you don't ever fly a lot and you have a liquid that they don't make into a travel size, or you can't switch it, they will actually somehow put some swab in there just to check it. You can get around it because I've seen it. Like Mom with her contact solution.
Certain places.
Every time she flies, I've seen them. They just look at it and then they put a little swab on it.
Well, one time when I was in Germany, they said they couldn't do that for me. And I'm like, they do it. I've seen them do it before.
If it's a medical thing, like if it's for contact lenses, you absolutely need that, you know?
That's
true. But if you're just buying like some dumb lotion you bought at the gift shop, it's kind of like, sorry, you should have known better.
This is another little pro tip is like, a lot of people want to bring their like big old shampoo things because they want their specific shampoo. Definitely put it into a smaller container when you fly, but also, because you won't make it, but also, if you don't really care about what shampoo you're going to have, you can just buy some over there. That's not that big of a deal.
You always think when you're leaving to go to another country for a long time, you're like, oh, I need to bring every little thing. But it's like, oh yeah, they have stores like us.
Yeah, I mean, it's
it's kind of fun to try like European chapstick or whatever.
I have heard though that sometimes in different countries deodorant is formulated differently, and if your skin isn't used to the other type of deodorant, you can have like a bad reaction to it. I've just heard that before, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So anyways, the main thing that I wanted to point out is when you're packing for a trip that long, you don't actually pack for 6 weeks. You're really just packing for a week, and then you just plan to do laundry every week, you know? Because, like, let's be honest, you probably, in your home, have enough laundry that you could wear a different thing every day for 6 weeks. But, like, how often do you repeat shirts and outfits? Like, probably every couple weeks you wear the same stuff.
And you have to be super conscious to bring dark-colored things and to make sure that, you know, the couple pairs of shorts you wear can be worn with every single shirt that you bring.
Yes, that's a very good point. Like, wear colors, like neutral colors, solid colors. And also, like, for us, we pretty much were wearing shirts with no logos. You know, like, this was one of the shirts that I wore. These pants were some of the pants I wore. Very, like, neutral colors. For people that are just listening, not watching, you know, it's kind of like a dark tie-dye kind of shirt. And also PacSun. A lot of our shirts come from PacSun. They make really good shirts, and also like they're just nice. They fit well. They don't, even if they shrink a little bit, they're long, so they're not gonna like ride up and show your belly button after they shrink. They're good shirts. But anyways, a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, how did you pack all your stuff in a carry-on?" It was the main thing.
Yeah, every time we saw adults, they'd be like, "That's all you brought with you for 6 weeks?" And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's all we brought, because we only brought one pair of shoes. You bring like one nice outfit, maybe, you know, like a nice shirt, maybe a nice long pair of dark denim. And our go-to shoes were the Stan Smiths, the white Stan Smiths. Stan Smiths can be worn with everything. You can get away with wearing them for everything. We wore them literally every single place we went on our trip. And both of our pairs are pretty destroyed now.
Yeah, but you can. The other nice thing is you can just wipe them off and they clean up really easily.
They clean up really nice. Mine are to the point where I need some new ones now, but like the leather's gotten deteriorated and the shoelaces are pretty done. But you can throw your shoelaces in the wash. You can wipe them down really easily. They're leather sneakers, so they look really nice. The white ones, at least. And they go with pretty much everything. Like, white sneakers literally go with everything. So And they're super trendy over there. Like a lot of people wear those shoes in Europe. So it wasn't like you're standing out looking super touristy. And they're super comfy. I wore mine every single day. And the other pair of shoes that we did bring were flip-flops, but flip-flops take up no room in your bag.
Yeah.
So those don't even count. Like flip-flops are just like essential because you can wear them in a shower. You can wear them at a music festival when you're chilling.
Yeah.
You can wear them to the pool, beach, whatever.
Yeah, so if listeners were to go on a trip like this, you definitely have to just lay everything out on the bed and be like, okay, what do I need for a week? That was what I did. And just don't overthink everything. Like, if you're missing something, you can just buy it over there.
And let's be honest, like, you're probably going to be tempted to buy a shirt or two. You might be tempted to buy some pants.
I left a lot of room in my bag. Like, when I left, it was, I fit a couple more shirts in there, and then obviously you pick up little things along the way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You want to make sure that you have enough room to bring back a few things if you want to.
And also the packing cubes. So you can buy these little zip-up cloth, or I don't know.
They're basically little containers, little thin like fabric containers for your clothes.
Yeah.
So you kind of can like roll up your socks and underwear in it.
Saves a lot of space.
Saves a ton of space, and it's way more helpful when you're unpacking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you basically have all these cubes that you kind of just Tetris in there, and then when you're unpacking, like that's the other thing. If all my shit was just loose in my bag and I had to take everything out at TSA, oh my gosh, that would have been such a nightmare.
And all your stuff would be really wrinkled too.
Yeah. So packing cubes are a must. Pack for a week. Pack one pair of shoes, two if you absolutely have to have another pair, but no more than two. Figure out the shoes that are essential. And once you lay out all your stuff on your bed and you say like, okay, this is all the stuff that I'm bringing. If there's anything that's like questionable, leave it behind.
Yeah.
Anything that you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll wear this, leave it the fuck behind. Don't bring it because you're just going to regret lugging that shit around. Because especially when you're gone for 6 weeks, there's some things that if you bring something that's not essential, you're literally just going to be tempted to leave it behind because you don't even want to bother with it anymore.
Yeah. Like I feel like there was something I brought that I left.
What'd you think about the vacuum bags this year?
I don't know. You used them because yours was a better size. You gave me that one that was just gigantic,
well,
so it's just kind of
it.
awkward. Yeah, but then you're dealing with it doesn't work as good as a small one.
I got these like vacuum sealable bags basically. They're like little plastic bags that you kind of like roll down and it sucks all the air out of your stuff. And I use mine for my dirty clothes.
Yeah.
Because normally dirty clothes end up taking up way more room than they were when they were folded. Mm-hmm. Because when they're folded, they're like pressed nicely. With all your clean ones. You don't want to put them back with your clean ones. So I use the vacuum thing. It sucks all the air out of it. So it just like condenses all your dirty clothes. And then also, because there's no air in there, I feel like it could probably be more hygienic. Like bacteria wouldn't grow in there. I could be wrong, but maybe it makes it more prone to growing bacteria because it's all tight in there. But who knows? But yeah, I actually like those this year. Yeah. I think I'll use them again. Just mainly for dirty clothes. But also, I used them for my jackets and my big stuff. Because when we went to Iceland, we had to have jackets. But then the rest of the trip, we barely even wore them.
That was one thing I was thinking. If I were to go again and if there was another cold place, I would probably just go to Goodwill or something and buy some cheap jacket and then give it to a homeless person or something on the street, because you don't need it for the rest of your trip and it costs you $6.
If the cold place is your first place on your trip, then sure.
That's true. But anyway, so
let's talk about our trip. So the first place we went was Iceland.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing.
Why did we go to Iceland?
Because the flight was it was $150, but we flew with a budget airline called WoW Air. Yeah, WoW Air. Wizz Air is the one out of Hungary.
Wizz.
So it's WoW Air.
Wow.
Yeah, so we flew with WoW Air. Flight was $150 one way, and then they charge you $50 just to bring on a carry-on luggage. So I think it's $60 if you wanted to check the bag, but I don't like checking bags. They destroy your luggage, and it's just not worth it. So we paid the $50 to have the carry-on luggage, and so yeah, that WoW Air though, I have no complaints about that airline. The plane was brand new. It was super clean. I mean, it literally looked like it had only been flown a couple times. The seats were brand new. The carpet was perfect.
Probably what they did was they bought the plane from another airline and then refurbished the whole thing to make it like a WOW airline.
Yeah, and obviously you don't have a flight attendant coming around serving you any meals or anything.
Yeah, it's a budget. No, but actually we did get some stuff on the way there. We got a meal, didn't we?
No.
Oh, because it was a red eye.
Yeah.
From Detroit.
Yeah, but even
and
if you
also
were flying,
Iceland is a lot closer.
Yeah. It was only like 5 hours.
I thought we got a meal.
No, we didn't get a meal.
Did we get a snack?
No, everything costs money.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I could have sworn we got a meal or something.
No, we brought food on the plane.
What did we bring?
I don't know. I think like McDonald's because it was the only thing open. It wasn't a very long flight.
It was a red eye. We had to be at the gate at what, like
it didn't
1
leave
a.m.
till 1 a.m. and then it
left
arrived.
at 1 a.m. Yeah, that was
weird. The whole flight time was only 5 hours.
Yeah, it was only 5 hours, so they didn't serve us a meal. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because Iceland is like very far west.
Mm-hmm. Because I think then the flight to the United Kingdom was
still like 2 hours.
4.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's nuts. Okay, so Iceland, when we got there,
yeah,
cold as hell.
Yeah.
Super cold.
And the
rainy.
sun also never went down.
Sun never went down. Completely. It got dark, but not ever completely dark. Like, it was around like 3 a.m. and it was pretty dark, but about as dark as it would get at what, like 8 p.m., 9 p.m.?
Yeah.
Not like
so
pitch
we were
dark.
only there for, what, 2 days?
Yeah, we were only there for 2 days. Iceland is hella expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive.
But it's awesome.
A Subway footlong cost $20 US.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think we ended up only using like a half a tank of gas, and it was $80 just to fill it up.
Yeah, so we rented a car. You pretty much have to rent a car when you're there.
Yeah, so theme of the first 2 locations is get in the queue, which is the line.
We didn't have to get in any queues at Iceland.
To wait for the car.
Yeah, we did. Oh my God, I forgot about that. The rental car situation was a nightmare.
Yeah. It was like... Okay, so this rental car situation was the funniest thing. So we take the little shuttle bus to get to the rental car place. And we're thinking, okay, awesome. We booked it online ahead of time. We're just going to show up and get the car. No. So we get up and it's like a huge lobby, big old desk, probably room for 10 people to check people in for rental cars. There's maybe 2 people there and there's absolutely no line. There's no like, what would you call it? Like the things that you
a queue. It turns like a
the turnstiles, I guess, to line the people up in line. There was none of those, and we're like, okay, so where do you go? It's just a bunch of people standing around, and then this guy's like, use this machine to get a ticket.
So it's like a numbered ticket, and then they call out your number.
Yeah. So I try to use this machine, and it's completely broken, and there's like 15 people trying to get this ticket. And we're like, how can we even get in this line of like 50 people if this machine won't even give us a ticket? And he's like, sucks. And we're just like, oh, okay, cool. So I literally just started taking apart the machine because it was a problem with the receipt.
No, didn't that other guy like take it apart first? And then he was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. The guy who worked there tried to take it apart and fix it. And I was like, okay, this is a very simple problem with the receipt reader. Granted, it was pretty messed up because after I fixed it, I think it only worked for one other person, and I was just like, that sucks, because there was like 20 people that should have been in front of me, but since I took the thing apart, it ended up working out.
Yeah.
But after that, we probably waited for 2.5 hours? But they did give us a piece of chocolate. That was really nice.
They gave us a nice piece of chocolate. I think it was more like 2 hours, not 2.5.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe it was an hour and a
time.
half. It felt like 5 hours, because literally we were pretty tired.
Yeah.
We didn't get much sleep on the plane. We arrived like pretty early in the morning.
Yeah.
And because the time change was only like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Let's see if it's, what is it, 6 in Amsterdam?
Something like that. So I think it was like 4 hour time difference.
Yeah, it's 4, I think.
So I think it was like 4 hours time difference, and then our flight was only like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So we'd really only
we got like 3 hours of sleep and just jumped 7 hours ahead of our day.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so it was
like
the morning of, and we basically, it took forever to finally get our rental car, and then when we finally did, we headed to our hostel, and then that was the day we went to the Blue Lagoon, right?
Yeah. So we went to our hostel, got a couple hours of sleep, and then
I don't even think we slept. Did we?
Yeah.
We like napped?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, we went to our hostel, and then we basically were just like, our day was almost done by that point. We went to the grocery store too, didn't we? Got a little bit of food, but not much. And then we went to the Blue Lagoon, which the Blue Lagoon is one of the like 10 wonders of the world or something like that, or like 10 most something places on Earth as by National Geographic. I don't know who comes up with the 7 wonders of the world.
But
like,
it was
who's the
super
definitive
cool.
person that's like, these are the 7 wonders. Anything else is not a wonder.
Yeah.
Like who decides what's the wonders of the world? But apparently this is like one of the like coolest places on Earth because it is like really dope.
Yeah.
So what did we do at the Blue Lagoon?
So it was kind of expensive, but it was definitely worth it. So it's kind of, I don't know, we drove like an hour probably to get there, maybe 45 minutes.
If you just go straight from the airport, it's actually closer because we had to pass the airport again because we were staying in Reykjavik, like in the capital.
And the airport's about an hour and 10 minutes away.
No, I think it was like 30. It was like 30 because remember we had to get back to the airport. I think the airport was like 30 and there was like another 20 from the airport to the Blue Lagoon. So it was like 50 minutes, I think, total to get there because you had to pass the airport.
Okay.
Either way. Because think about it, like that airport services like Reykjavik. If it was an hour away from the city center, that'd be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it was like 30 minutes, but still. So it was like 50 minutes from the city, and then we got there, and they give you like a towel and
these little wristbands that you can use to get a locker. And then...
you can pay for stuff with it, which is pretty dope, so you don't have to like have your like wallet with you when you go in the lagoon. But it's... like you've probably seen it in pictures. It's that like blue, super like blue milky water. And when you go like even a couple feet below the surface, you can't even like see.
Yeah, I would say probably 6 inches because I remember like testing it with my hand.
Like, so basically if someone's underneath the water, you cannot see them because the water's like milky blue and it's steaming because the water's warm and outside it's freezing cold.
Yeah, I think it was about 50 degrees every single day we were there, but it was also windy and slight mist. So if you're outside for 20
basically
minutes,
like
you just
freezing
be wet.
rain. It was like really cold and rainy.
But the funny thing was they had lifeguards, but they were all bundled up in jackets and stuff. So it's like the only place you see that. But I'd say the water was like maybe 95 degrees or so.
Yeah, it was like a hot tub.
It was nice. It wasn't like
not
too
as hot as a hot
You
tub.
could be in it for an hour like and not feel
Some areas were a little bit hotter than others.
Yeah. But it was really nice. And the water, it's basically full of silica, which occurs naturally,
it's one of the only places where it occurs naturally or something like that, and silica is like really good for your hair, nails, and skin.
Yeah.
So like it's really good. They give
there's
you
just
like
abundance of it. I'm pretty sure it's
yeah.
definitely in other places, but
it's in other places, but I think it's like one of the only places it occurs naturally as like a mineral. I could be wrong,
but
I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
so the water's like really good for your skin,
and it's white. Silica is like white.
They had a place where you go get a silica mask, and you could get other stuff, but you had to pay for that.
Yeah.
And
there's also a swim up bar.
You got a free drink. And then we just kind of explored there for, I don't know.
A few hours.
A couple hours. Then we showered, went back.
They also have like saunas, and you can pay for like massages and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And yeah, I it's definitely a must. If you go to Iceland, you got to go to Blue Lagoon.
Yeah.
It's super cool. And also, they, like I said, they give you a towel and all that stuff, locker room access. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's definitely...
Someone jacked our towels, though, and we had to steal somebody else's.
Yeah, and they were
This
wet.
is so annoying because, like, yeah, they were... So our towels got stolen.
It should just be unlimited towels.
Yeah, our towels got stolen, and so that meant, like, what are we going to do? Go to the front desk and be like, someone stole our towels? No, because they're going to, like... say, well, you lost the towels or something like that.
And it's just a bunch of hooks and they're all the same, so
yeah, I know.
It might have not even been on purpose.
Someone might have just taken them by accident, but either way, then you have to go and figure out a towel to steal and like try not to be obvious about stealing a towel. So it was just silly. But either way,
but the place is really clean. Everything's nice. It's like a spa. They have a hotel there.
It's a really nice place to go. Definitely recommend. So then the next day, we went to the Golden Circle.
Yeah.
Which is like a ring road, basically, that kind of you can do it in like a day. Because there's also, I think, is the Golden Circle the one that goes around the whole country? Because there's another one I think that's just called the Ring Road or something like that.
Yeah.
Because there's one that goes around like the whole country, and you basically drive along the coast, and it takes a few days. And then there's one that's just called like the Golden Circle that is just like a local kind of thing, and it takes about a day to drive the whole thing. You can do it in a day. It doesn't take a day. If you just drove the whole thing straight and didn't stop, it would probably take like 6 hours, 7 hours.
You think?
Dude, because we started at like 3 p.m. and then we ended at like 11. Remember we got on the road really late.
I looked it up. It only takes about 4 hours.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it took more.
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe it takes like 4 or 5 hours to drive the whole thing.
I think the whole thing was about, I think it said 300 kilometers, but the speed limit's like 60 the whole time. So it just takes a long time to drive it.
Once we got in the countryside, it was like 90, I think, at a couple places. Or maybe like 80. I think it was 80 in a couple places once we got out farther. But towards the airport, it was like 60 the whole time.
Yeah.
Stupid. Which is like 45 miles an hour for people that are listening in America. But, so the Golden Circle, first we went to that area where, the reason why you have to rent a car there also is because there's basically no public transportation.
Yeah.
And so
renting a car is definitely is really cool.
Yeah, renting a car is a must. Like if you're going to Iceland, you got to rent a car because Ubers and all that stuff, like getting around.
And it's really easy to drive there too. It's not hard at all.
Yeah. Yo, I'm actually gonna move your mic up a little closer because when I was checking it on the thing, it was like a little bit echoey. So I'm just gonna move it up.
And they drove on the same side of the road.
Yeah, they drove on the right. The only places that drive on the other side is like the UK. Australia does it. Some places in Asia do it. I think like Japan, it drives on the left.
A couple Caribbean countries do it, like Jamaica does it.
Jamaica drives on the left? Huh.
Yeah.
But yeah, most European countries drive on the right.
They weren't crazy drivers at all.
The first time I went to Italy, I thought that they drove on the left. I just thought that like all Europe drove on the left. I didn't realize it was like a British thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, so in Iceland, they drive on the right, which is great because I don't like driving on the left.
Gas is super expensive.
Gas is hella expensive. First place we went on the Golden Circle, we went to this area where you could see the tectonic plates exposed above land. It's like the only place on Earth where you can see the tectonic plates above land, which is cool. I don't remember what that place was called at all.
I think it was called Tingvriller. I don't know. I can't.
That's definitely not the right pronunciation, but it looks something like that. And then the next place we went was Gullfoss, I think. Or no, the Geyser, I think we went to next.
Yeah.
So I don't remember. Gullfoss is like one of the biggest waterfalls. It's like 3 waterfalls in one. Super beautiful. I think I posted a picture from there on my Instagram. You can go see it. But yeah, that was super cool. And you can actually like go down close to it, or you can view it from high up, which is cool. Because a lot of waterfalls, you can only view it from like one angle. And so you could view it from the top or the bottom, which is dope.
Yeah, but the Tingviller, that was really cool because there was a lot of, it was a lot bigger of a place. All the other ones were just kind of, you go to the one site and then you're done. So we went there. The geyser, that was really cool because most geysers, they say, erupt not very frequently, but this one,
maybe like once an hour.
Yeah, this one was once every 8 minutes.
Like Old Faithful, I think, is every like 45 minutes or something.
Oh.
And geyser, this geyser erupts every like few minutes, like every 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And there's some other cool like hot springs. Smelled like farts, but it smelled like naturally occurring sulfur. Like it literally, the whole area just smelled like egg farts. It was gross, but it was cool. And standing by it, you get super wet because of all the steam that's coming off of it, but also like when it sprays, you could get sprayed by it.
Yeah, but that was really cool. So we were
pretty miserable there though because it was so cold and it was raining.
Yeah, and we were still pretty wet.
We were soaking wet. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and then we went. What was the other place that was really close to the geyser? We had to like go up to go see it.
I can't remember.
What was it that we went and looked at? Was it another waterfall?
I think it might have been.
I cannot remember.
Yeah.
I cannot remember for the life of me. But basically, we went to
I remember
geyser.
too, there was one other thing on the way back, but it was closed.
It was that power plant. Remember?
Yeah.
You could like tour this cool power plant, but it was closed.
Yeah.
We
so
went and
I know we
looked at it.
definitely stopped at 4 places.
I think it might have been another waterfall. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, I think it was another waterfall.
I can't
The
remember.
Gullfoss one was way cooler, though.
Yeah, Gullfoss was super dope. Because remember at Thingville or whatever, the one where we saw the tectonic plates, there's a waterfall there,
Yeah.
too, that we saw, which was really cool. But, yeah, can't remember what we saw. Oh, well. And then basically by the time we got home, we were super tired, exhausted, and it was really late. But also another thing I want to point out was Iceland looks like a different planet. Like the terrain is so unique. There's
Yeah.
moss everywhere. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah, and the moss is like really squishy, but we found out from some locals that they get mad if you step on the moss because apparently it kills it. So
Apparently if you step on moss, it kills it, which I did not know.
yeah,
But the moss isn't like green moss. It's like kind of yellowish, brownish, goldish.
it's
kinda
like
color.
grows in between rocks. Like it looks like, yeah, it's very very weird. I was talking to somebody about the trip, and they said that's where they film. I've never seen it, but The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Apparently, he like goes to Iceland, has to do
Don't
something
they also
crazy.
film Game of Thrones there too?
Yeah, Game of Thrones is filmed there.
Yeah, it looks like a different planet. Like it's very, very cool terrain. If you get the chance to go, definitely go to Iceland. But don't plan on staying for very long unless you want to drain your entire bank account because it is expensive as hell.
Yeah.
But
So we were only there
Yeah.
for like 2 days. So then
we didn't even go out to eat there except for Subway.
Yeah, we just went to the grocery store and just bought snacks.
Yeah, pretty much. Cause yeah, and that was a nice hostel we stayed at. The hostel we stayed at was pretty dope. It was just like a 4-person thing, and we never even met the other people that were staying there.
Yeah.
But we ended up we got back to the airport super early because we were afraid that we were gonna have to wait in line to return our car. We got to the return place and there was no one there. We waited for about 0.2 seconds. We returned our car in like 2 minutes, and we were in the airport, and we're like, well, now we have a flight to London, and we have like 3 hours to kill, basically.
Yeah.
So
But that wasn't bad.
no, it wasn't bad. And the
Reykjavik
Iceland
airport
airport
was really nice.
I was gonna say the Keflavik airport.
Yeah,
Keflavik.
the Icelandic language is hilarious. Like, they just speak so fast.
It's just so many It's like so many. Vowels or consonants? Consonants are
consonants. A, E, I, O, and U are vowels.
yeah. It's like
Sometimes
so
Y.
many consonants in a row. So it's just like it just looks like nothing. Like
Yeah.
you know, like you're just
You have no clue how to say it.
yeah. You just have no clue what's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, then we flew into Luton. And so
That
we
was
flew from
awful.
Keflavik to London.
Oh yeah. Also, it was a
Airport.
running joke to just say Keflavik for like
Yeah.
our whole trip because Keflavik is just such a fun thing to say. So we'd always just go Keflavik.
Yeah, and there's like so many letters in it, but the way they say it is just so
Keflavik.
fast.
Keflavik.
Yeah.
Oh, do you go on to Keflavik?
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
Keflavik.
So, yeah. So,
We flew to Luton, which is in London.
yeah, if you ever fly into London, don't fly into Luton.
London has like 4 airports. Heathrow's the main one. They have Luton, and they have like a
Gatwick.
couple others, Gatwick, and another one. And it was the same day that Trump was visiting the UK.
Yeah. And this immigration customs was ridiculous.
The worst
The
customs
line-
I've ever been in.
And there was this one old British lady who's like, I'm so ashamed of my country for making you wait in this line. All this stuff.
That was the Queen.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's the Queen.
It's the Queen. Thank you, Queen, for letting us
It's
know.
like, oh, thanks for that, but we'll still
Literally, we had to wait in line just to get our passport stamped.
And there
for
was
2 hours.
one person stamping all the passports that weren't EU passports.
So there was an EU passport line, like EU and UK, and then all other passports. The all other passports line had one person stamping.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was the most inefficient customs I've ever seen in my life.
And there was no apology.
No apology,
anything.
no sorry for the wait. It was ridiculous. And yeah. But London was cool.
Yeah.
The hostel we stayed at was an absolute shithole.
Yeah.
Never staying in that hostel
And
again.
it was so expensive. London is just will drain your bank account too.
Yep. And also you're just going to wait in a lot of queues.
Yeah. They love
Queues-
waiting in line.
Saying queue, I think Londoners just love saying the word queue, but they say it a lot. Like getting in line, when you say getting in line, it's in queue. So you have to wait.
Get in the queue.
Let's go get in the queue.
Where's the queue?
Let's wait in queue. We've been waiting in queue for 30 minutes or whatever. So queuing is like a national pastime. Yeah, it's like baseball or soccer.
And
queuing.
Every time I asked anybody, why do people like waiting in line? So they say, it's polite. And I'm just like, what?
They just have a weird obsession with queuing, which is just very strange, but whatever. So when we got to London, we waited in queue.
We were staying in the Camden Town area.
Which is like a super hipstery, trendy area with a lot of really good food. Camden Market, super dope. We ate there. We ate such good food in London. Holy shit. We ate a lot of good food.
Yeah, London has pretty much every single type of food just in that Camden, where we were.
Yeah.
And it's so big that, I mean, we
could have eaten a different thing every single day for 2 years in that place.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so if you're in London, Camden Market, Camden
Town
Market
area
is super cool.
Yeah, definitely recommend going to Camden Market and just eating your heart out. And it's like street food. It's like street food. Cyberdog is also dope. It's basically like a rave store.
Yeah.
So if you've ever seen, I think it's called Ravecore or the style of clothes. Ravecore, or maybe it's cyberpunk. That's what it is. Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's you know how you have steampunk, and then there's cyberpunk, which is basically rave clothing with LEDs and metal and all kinds of weird stuff. But yeah, it was basically a cyberpunk store. And it's very interesting. I don't know how they stay in business because I don't see very many people wearing that stuff except for at raves. But hey,
I don't know. In London, there was people wearing some weird stuff.
Dude, London had some weird people.
Yeah.
Very weird outfits. Very trendy, very cool, but very weird.
Yeah.
Lots of
I expected London to be how it was when we went to Wimbledon, the people situation, but it was not.
But maybe it was just the area we were staying in was super hipstery.
I felt there was less people from London than the rest of the types of people we met there, in that area though.
Yeah, when we were in that area, there was a lot of people from other places. We met a really cool Australian girl, or no, New Zealand. New Zealand or Australia?
No, she's Australian.
Really cool Australian girl. And we never got her information. I'm kind of sad about that. But anyways, then the next day, we went to London. Or no, next day we went to London. Next day we went to Lovebox, right?
Yeah.
So we went to one day of this music festival called Lovebox. That was dope. Met up with my friend Daisy and her friends. So that was fun.
Yeah. And we should have gotten there about 2 hours before, but
we waited in another queue.
We waited in a line to wait in another line.
So we had to wait in a line to get our will call, because the only way that you could do ticketing was if you had a physical ticket that you bought at a box office, or if you went online and bought a ticket and wanted to do the mobile ticket thing, you had to wait at will call just to get a physical ticket so you could wait in another line to get your ticket scanned. So dumb.
Yeah. And
the will call line, basically everyone had mobile tickets because who doesn't have mobile tickets? We had to wait in a line for at least an hour. And then not only that, after that line, there was another line. It was pretty short, to be honest, but it was just so dumb. Once we got through this one line, literally it just bottlenecked, and then it literally led to 7 more lines.
Yeah.
It was so dumb. It's one of the worst line situations I've ever seen in my life. England, get your shit together. Lovebox, basically, get your shit together.
Yeah.
And also another thing that screwed us over was the subway that day.
Yeah.
Because it said you didn't have to scan out at the subway station, and then it charged us for the maximum fare, which is so dumb.
Yeah, it charged me $6 for one day.
Whatever. Wasn't the worst thing in the world, but still. So we went to Lovebox. We saw Diplo. We saw Skepta.
Yeah.
We saw Dave. Dude, Dave and Skepta were epic. If you don't listen to UK grime, it's basically English, British rapping.
Yeah.
And it's pretty dope. I like Skepta a lot. Skepta was sick.
Cool.
Dave was sick. We did not know any of his songs, but
they were hype for him.
Dude, everyone was so hype. It was imagine going to a Travis Scott concert or a Drake concert in America. That's how hype they were for this guy, Dave. Dave and Skepta. Skepta, like, everyone was super lit too.
And they said he was super young, like 16 or 17.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're into, like, British grime rap, definitely listen to Dave and Skepta. Diplo was actually pretty good. Who else did we see there that was pretty good? Wu-Tang Clan, they were okay.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I just kind of wanted to see them because they're just so iconic. I'd never seen them before. Probably never going to see them again. But we saw Wu-Tang Clan for like a little bit. And who else did we see? Can't remember.
There's one other person, I'm blanking on it though. He spells his name like you have to put the period. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, can't remember. But it was pretty awesome. I really enjoyed Lovebox. We only went to one day. It was 2 days, right? I think it was 2 days. Childish Gambino played the next day, which apparently he did like really good. But the next day we went to Wimbledon, and this is a crazy ass story.
Yeah, Wimbledon is sweet.
Okay, so explain for everybody like how you get tickets and what our plan was.
So it was like a week before we left, and my dad's watching Wimbledon. I'm like, wait, we'll be in London the same time as Wimbledon. Think we'll be able to go? And we were thinking like, it's a long shot. Maybe we'll get to go. Probably won't happen. So we woke up. So basically the only way you can get tickets is it's kind of like the Masters, if anybody's familiar with that, where it's just a lottery system. Especially if you're a foreigner and you don't even live in the UK, it's super hard to get tickets through that system. But it's the only major sporting event that you can actually wake up morning of, get in a line, and if you're there early enough, you can actually get tickets for that event. Unless it's the last 3 days and when it's the championships, other than there's no tickets available for that, but you can still get a general admission.
And general admission basically gives you admission to the whole grounds of the place, but it doesn't give you like tickets for center court or court 1 or court 2.
Yeah, but you can go to all the other ones because they're just general admission tickets.
Yeah, and if you find a
and
seat,
they're cheap
you can just
too.
sit anywhere.
The general admission tickets were I think,
£14.
Yeah, so that's like 17 US.
Yeah, something like that. Super cheap, super affordable, but you just got to wait in line. You got to queue.
Yeah, you got to get in their little line. So we get there and
normally you have to show up pretty early.
Yeah, but I think it actually worked to our favor that you weren't able to get center court or the good tickets on the day we were there.
Because we were there on the day of
it was the
finals,
women's finals.
The women's final.
Saturday,
yeah.
And then Sunday is the last day. So Serena was playing that day against
someone else.
Yeah.
Don't remember her name, and Serena lost.
Yeah, Serena lost. But
and
what happened
was in straight sets, I think.
The day before, Djokovic and Nadal, they weren't able to finish their match because the sun went down. So they were going to continue it today at 1 o'clock.
The day that we were trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it was dope because basically like we were thinking, okay, cool, we'll get in. And the center court, there's this giant hill where they have a giant TV and you can sit and watch the game on this giant TV.
Uh-huh.
And we were thinking like, okay, cool, that's probably what we'll end up doing.
If we get in. We were not thinking we would get in.
Honestly, we woke up kind of like not early. We woke up at like 8 a.m. and typically people say you got to get there at like 5 or 6 a.m. Literally people will camp overnight to get these tickets. And if you camp, you're like one of the first people in line. There's potential that if there's any like center court tickets or any of the really good tickets left over, you might be able to get one, but it's really slim chances.
Yeah. So I think we were number like 400 in line, which the people in front of us were saying they had been doing it a bunch of the days, and this was the smallest crowd they had seen. So that was pretty lucky for us.
Because we were lined up in this giant field, and the field was marked, and there was, I mean, maybe an eighth of the field was filled up with people. Not even an eighth. Maybe 1/10 of the field was filled up, and the rest of the field, I think, on like really busy days when there's tons of matches going on, the whole field is full of people.
Yeah. So we finally
since it's towards the end of the championship, there's not very many matches happening.
Yeah.
It's like wheelchair doubles and like senior doubles and all that stuff, so people don't really care.
Yeah. The only thing that's big going on is at center court on that.
And if you don't have a center court ticket, you got to sit on the hill and just watch it on TV. So you might as well just sit at home and watch it.
Yeah.
Like it's just not.
So we basically waited in line and then waited in another line. We were like, we don't even know if we're gonna get in. And then it happened. We ended up being able to buy center court tickets, but the only thing going court number one,
which
but
had
the only thing that was going
finals. The girls' finals.
Yeah. but not women's, so it wasn't really anybody that anybody cared about. But so we finally get in, and we're pretty stoked. We're like, oh, this is sick. We're in here, and like it's pretty surreal because me and Andrew plays tennis, or used to play tennis a lot. My dad's always watched Wimbledon, so it's just crazy that we're actually in this place that seems pretty like we've just seen our whole lives and never thought we'd ever be here. So then we walked around, explored for about a couple hours, and we were like, let's just see if we can go to center court and just see it, maybe get a picture. That would be really cool because, we're here, we want to see it. So we kind of walked around, we went into where you're supposed to go in, and we see that every single spot to get in has a guard watching to make sure you have a ticket.
And if you've ever been to like a sporting event that's like in a circle, like a football game or a baseball game or anything like that, typically you walk up to the like little gate and it's like section 305 or whatever, and there's a guy like checking your ticket, right? And if you don't have a ticket, he's going to be like, go away. Like he's going to turn you away.
Yeah, so the guy, we kept
and originally
walking.
Matthew was saying like, dude, do you think we could just go in and like ask one of the guards if we can just go in and look? And I'm like, no, dude, they're not going to let us.
Yeah.
And I was
You
doubting.
were shooting it down.
I was shooting it down 100%. I will admit that. I was like, nah, dude, there's no way. And by the way, these tickets were being sold on StubHub for like 2,000 pounds or something, right?
Oh no, it was more than that, like 7,000 for the nosebleed seats. Wow. They were all the way up at the top.
So these tickets are stupid hard to acquire.
Yeah, so we walk in, and I didn't know this at the time, but so like let's say it's compared to a football field, the royal box, so where like the all the fancy people sit is on the one end. So we walk in like at the middle, say 50-yard line if you're thinking football field.
Basically like
walking
the net.
Towards the left, towards the royal box. And I noticed that the carpet, it starts getting carpeted and everything seems nice.
By the way, this is like 45 minutes before the match of Nadal and Djokovic started. So not that many people are in there yet.
Yeah, so then I'm like, okay, there's one spot where there's nobody checking. So we walk in, and there's no one in there. We're just like, dang, this is sweet. And then we asked the guard who was supposed to check our ticket to take our picture. So then that made it seem like, oh, okay, this guy just belongs and he's normal. So then I was like, let's just sit down and see what happens. So we sit down in a random row, kind of like maybe 4 rows from
We didn't know this at the time, but it was just awkward because we just sat down in these random seats and we're like, let's just sit down and hope no one says anything to us. And it was awkward because there was nobody around us. Like the court was basically empty. It was just us and these random security guards. And we were just sitting there like shitting our pants because we were just like hoping that no one ever told us to move. We're like, dude, we're totally going to get kicked out. But like, let's just stay here as long as possible.
Then I looked on the ground and there's a little sign that says competitors guest. So I was just like, I don't know what this means, but
I knew what it meant. It meant that the competitors, the people that were playing,
the section was pretty big.
The section was big, but we were in the competitors guest section. Like imagine if there was like a reserved sign or something. We were basically sitting in like reserved seating. So it made it even more sketchy.
Yeah, we weren't going to like go and just move back a row because that would just make it super obvious to the security guards that. So we just kind of stayed there, hung out. And pretty nervously, every time somebody walked up and the guard checked their ticket, we're like, this is about to be awkward if he points at our seats and then comes talks to us.
Because that's the worst when you're sitting at a like Braves game or like a baseball game or whatever, and somebody you're in their seats and they walk up and they're like, hey, these are our seats, or they go to the usher and the usher's like, hey, you got to move and whatever.
And it doesn't make it any better that it's like, hey, this is Nadal's grandma and you're in her seat. Where's your ticket? And you're just like, it makes the security guards look really bad.
And also, like, they would have asked us for our ticket to see where we were supposed to be.
We probably would have gotten kicked out.
We didn't even have a ticket. Like, we did not have a ticket for center court. We had a general admission ticket, but that did not give us any right to be in center court.
We probably would have gotten kicked out if...
I don't know if they would have kicked us out of the whole place, but they would have gotten angry and kicked us out of the center court for sure.
Because it would have made them look really bad in front of the competitors' guests.
Yeah. So anyways, there was like a lady behind us that was from Virginia and her husband. They were like an elderly couple. They were super nice, who knows how much they spent on their tickets.
Yeah.
But we were talking about, we were talking to them. So it made it less awkward that we were kind of talking to some other people that the guards were just like, they had no reason to question that those were not our seats unless someone walked up and was like, yo, those are our seats. So there was no reason for anyone to like tell us to move unless there was, and so as it's getting more and more close to the time that the game's supposed to start, the place just starts getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And by the end of it, by the time the game starts,
I didn't see two seats next to each other empty.
The place was absolutely packed. How many seats are in that place? 15,000, you said?
Yeah.
So 15,000 wasn't an empty seat in the place.
And that's like, and this place is actually pretty small. It's a lot smaller than you'd think it would be for...
Because a tennis court is actually pretty small. It's not like a baseball field or a football field. Tennis courts are extremely intimate. So even though there's 15,000 people in there, it seems like very small.
Yeah, it did not seem... Even if you were in the back, very last row, you'd still have a pretty good view.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's only one tier. Like, it's one row. It's not like it's multiple. You go up a staircase and you can get on another level above.
Was there I think there was was it a balcony?
No.
I think there was a
no
balcony. Are you sure?
No, there's no balcony.
There's
a balcony below us,
it's
sort
like a
of,
bowl.
but yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so also, since we're sitting in the competitors' guest section, as we're starting to file in, we start to realize, we kind of realized this as the match was going on. Or no, the people from Virginia told us this. They're like, oh yeah, this is the competitors' guest area. So like, the players' families are going to be sitting right in front of us.
Yeah, they were telling, it was great. We had like a tour guide pretty much because they had been there all week. They were telling us all about, oh yeah, all these people are going to come sit in the royal box today. And
yeah, so as people are coming in, it's like Djokovic's wife and like his family sitting on one side. And then right directly in front of us is like Nadal's family and his family
that
and
had
whatever.
to have been his nephew or something sitting next to me that kept saying like,
I don't know.
Whatever, Rafa. Remember that little
his
kid?
nephew? That was a girl. It was like a little girl.
Yeah.
I don't think it was his nephew, but it was definitely someone related to him. I don't know. I mean, who knows? The lady that was sitting next to her was like a grandma-looking lady. So I don't think that it was, I don't know. But either way, it was somebody related to him probably. And then there was also some people in the front wearing like Rafael Nadal Tennis Academy shirts.
Yeah.
And so it was literally like the people that work for him and his family and all that stuff. And somehow nobody had told us to move.
Yeah.
We were still in the exact same seats that we started in. And as the match, and then all of a sudden the match starts and we're still sitting there. And me and Matthew are sitting there like shitting our pants looking at each other like, how the hell are we still sitting in these seats?
Yeah. And then so the match starts, and then after every 2 points, they let everybody get up, and then of course that was like, oh my gosh, we're about to get kicked out.
So yeah, so on every changeover, that's the only time they let people actually go and change and move around and like go to the bathroom or whatever. So during the match, we weren't worried. So we could focus on the players and everything, and we weren't worried. But every time there was a changeover and people were shuffling around, moving around, we were freaking out.
Yeah.
And then like, basically it just kept going and going and going and going and
we were
going.
there for what, like 3.5 hours at least?
It was a long time. It felt like a long time.
It was a good match too.
And it was a good match. It was only the second half because they started the match the day before, but it got dark too early, so they had to finish it the next day. But it went on for a long time. It went to the fifth set. Djokovic ended up winning, and we ended up... Oh yeah, by the way, the royal box had like Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton, like the royalty, were literally sitting like 30 yards, 50 yards away from us.
Yeah.
Like if that. It was so, they were so close to us, and that was pretty crazy because I don't really care or geek out about that kind of stuff, but like...
Yeah, those people behind us were...
Literally, if you looked up the news and you typed in like their names, it was all about how they were at Wimbledon
sure I
together.
saw like the newspaper with them sitting, and I was like, oh yeah, I saw that.
Literally in person, we saw that. And, like they were commenting on how like Meghan Markle wore some like certain outfit that like typically you would wear a dress, but she was wearing like this $1,000 like polo Ralph Lauren shirt or something like that. It was all, a bunch of celebrity gossip type stuff. But it was still pretty crazy that we were literally there. So anyways, the match ends up being over, and we never got told one single time to move. No one questioned us the whole time. And I think it was because we were in the competitors' guest area. I bet that it wasn't really assigned seats per se. It was probably just like you had a competitor's guest ticket, and then the ushers point you to where they want you to sit in that area. So it wasn't necessarily like you have this seat, or maybe it was like you have this seat, you have this seat, but they're not about to tell like Djokovic's wife to move because someone else has her ticket.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you know, someone's in that seat, but sit over here. Like they didn't really care. It didn't seem like there was much of a dispute of where people were actually sitting. If they wanted to sit somewhere else, you know, maybe they would let them sit there.
Yeah.
But the thing that ended up happening was at the end of the match, everyone leaves to go to the bathroom because the next match was going to start. Serena and the other lady, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And so we were like, no, we're not leaving because that means if we leave, they're going to check our tickets again.
And then once everybody cleared out, they were like, hey, the next match is starting. Do you guys have tickets? Because since it's competitor's guest, you need a separate ticket. And we were like, oh, yeah, our dad has them. So we just kind of then walked out. We're like, yeah, we'll go find him right now. Come on, Andrew, let's go. And so we just kind of walked out, and then we never went back.
And the guy that walked up to us was like a tattooed up like soldier guy.
Yeah, this guy was scary.
He wasn't like a regular usher. He was like a guard. He was wearing like a formal.
This was the most guarded area too that we were in. That's the funniest part, is the area that we snuck into.
The area that we infiltrated was the most guarded area because
there was 5 guards.
Literally by the time the match
section
started, there was 5 guards, and every other section had like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And it was because it was right near the royal box, and it was right next to literally the players' families.
Yeah. It was pretty
insane.
cool.
Absolutely insane. But yeah, that was crazy. And then we finally just walked out, and we were just smiling from ear to ear, like giggling the whole time, because we could not believe that we actually just got away with getting onto center court, watching arguably the 2 best tennis players in the entire world on center court of Wimbledon, literally next to the players' families and the royalty, and we paid £35 to get in.
Yeah.
Like, it was honestly the most incredible story ever. I couldn't have asked for anything better from our Wimbledon experience, and I don't think anything's going to top that ever again.
Yeah. So then after that, we just kind of hung out, ate some food, did the Wimbledon traditional strawberries and cream, which I didn't really think was that great. It's like,
food was expensive.
Like
actually, food wasn't super expensive
in there.
It was
like $4 though for like 5 strawberries, and I thought the cream was gonna be sweet, but it's just like tastes like Greek yogurt kind of.
Yeah, it's traditional whatever. But yeah, the food was decent. Food was pretty good in there, and then Serena lost, and then everyone just kind of left.
Yeah,
we did watch some wheelchair tennis, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Wheelchair tennis is interesting because the ball bounces twice.
Mm-hmm.
In normal tennis, you can only bounce once. But I think everyone can agree that we should let the wheelchair people have a couple extra bounces.
Yeah, it makes it more fun. It was also crazy how when they would go for shots, their wheelchair, they had like almost like a roll cage, roll wheels on their wheelchairs so that when they could really reach for it and they wouldn't flip over.
Yeah, the wheels are like cambered out, so the angle of the wheels is like very outward angled so that you have like way more stability. It's pretty dope. But anyways, so that was our Wimbledon experience, and then we went back to our shitty hostel, which was just terrible. There was old stinky guys in there and like a weird...
Normally hostels aren't bad, but I've never seen it where there's like 2 40-plus guys that are just gross walking around in their underwear. Like, that I feel like is what I feel like the people who like have never stayed in a hostel imagine it to be. It kind of was like that. But I've stayed at plenty of hostels, and I would say that was the worst hostel I've ever been in.
For sure. Yeah, definitely worst hostel experience. The other thing was, it was one of the hottest weekends London had ever had.
Yeah.
And it was scorching hot, and there was no AC in the entire hostel. So we were like sweating our nuts off, and it was just awful. It was just not fun. We didn't spend any time, we spent as little time in the hostel as possible. Then after we went to Wimbledon, then we went to Goodwood Festival of Speed the next day, which was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that was cool.
We've been to some pretty legit car shows before.
Mm-hmm. That one topped it all.
This one was the craziest thing I've ever been to, for sure. Crazier than I've been to some like the AJC car show in Atlanta. That's cool because you get to see like concept cars and cars that aren't released, and every manufacturer has their little booth. And then I've also been to some really cool exotic car things. I've been to the Gumball Rally before. I've been to some cool car things, but never have I been to a car festival with that many crazy cars that you'll never see again, and also you get to see them racing on the track.
Yeah.
You never get to see cars up close and also racing on the track. That's what makes Goodwood so unique. So basically, it's a festival. It's like a weekend. It's like 3 or 4 days long. And basically, they have all these different stations where, Lamborghini has a place, Ferrari has a place, Porsche has a place, Mercedes has a place, and you can go look at all their new concept cars. They've got all these brand experiences where you can, go in some virtual reality thing or whatever, kind of like at some convention they would have it or whatever, or, stand here and get your picture taken next to a virtual car.
Yeah, and
or something.
This car show, by the way, is definitely something that you wanted to go to way more than me. I didn't even really know it was going to be that
cool. Was it way cooler than you thought?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, you're definitely way more into cars and know more about it. I feel like most of the stuff I know about cars is just because you're obsessed with cars. So, yeah. I mean, I was glad I got to go. It was super cool, but I feel like that was definitely more something I wouldn't have even known to do if I was there.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of videos.
I was really glad that we went to that.
I've been wanting to go to Goodwood for a few years. And we finally just decided, okay, we're going to go to Goodwood.
And to be honest, I was thinking, Andrew wanted to do a couple days when we were booking it, and I was like, I'm good. 1 day will be enough. But I was even dang, that we did not even come close to seeing everything. And we were there for pretty much...
I think 2 days would be pretty good. Yeah, 3 days might be a little much. But 2 days was
The funniest thing was, though, how people camped out for it, like a music festival, but...
There was literally campgrounds, a music festival, literally. And they had, flags and everything.
It was so hot. That would have sucked.
So freaking hot. Oh, my gosh. But apparently all the hotels and stuff around there are super expensive because it's not a tourist area like London.
Yeah. It's right in Goodwood where they make Rolls Royces. So.
Yeah, it's the heart of Goodwood where Rolls Royce is actually made. Their headquarters is there. And actually, when you're going into the festival, you pass the headquarters of Rolls Royce, which is pretty dope. And of course, Rolls Royce had one of the most elaborate booths at this place. Mm-hmm. It was pretty dope. They were releasing their new Cullinan, the SUV, which is dope. But yeah, Goodwood was sick. We really
We didn't do that much touristy stuff in London.
No, but I want to talk about Goodwood for a little more because when we got to Goodwood, basically there's this area that was called I can't even remember what area it was called, but it was this dedicated area where they had about 20 cars.
The paddock?
No, it wasn't the paddock. It was this area. Remember the area where the Koenigsegg's and the Ferraris and all that stuff were? Right when you walk in, there was just this area. The Jubilee, I think was what it was called. Maybe.
Because that's what they were calling it. It was the Silver Jubilee is their
The Silver Jubilee, because it was the anniversary of Goodwood. Some anniversary.
I think it was 20th.
The 20th. Maybe more. I can't remember.
And it was all cars that had their first debut at Goodwood, and it's all the most BA cars.
So they had a Bugatti Veyron, they had a Koenigsegg CCX, they had a Porsche 918 Spyder, they had a Koenigsegg Agera R, they had the final edition, they had a Ferrari Enzo, they had a Ferrari F40, they had a Ferrari LaFerrari. I mean, literally all the cars, the McLaren F1. So many unicorn cars. They call them unicorns because there's very, very few. They're extremely expensive. They're super rare. And most collectors just leave them in their garage and never drive them because they're so rare and expensive. They don't want to risk crashing them. So it was ridiculous. The amount of unicorn cars in one tiny area. I was having a freak out. I didn't even know where to start. I was just oh my gosh, oh my gosh, dude, there's one, dude, there's a freaking, oh my god. And it was Paganis. There was Paganis everywhere. And normally I would be freaking out about the Paganis, but I've seen a good handful of Paganis, so I wasn't geeking as hard as someone else. But holy shit. Yeah. It was insane.
It's every 2 minutes you're oh my God, dude, look at this, look at this, look at this.
Dude, okay, there were some cars there that I never even imagined that I would ever see. The only car that was there that I didn't think that's like a unicorn car that I don't know if I'll ever see one, is a Bugatti Chiron. There wasn't any Bugatti Chirons at the whole thing, which kind of bummed me out. But there was like 5 or 6 Koenigsegg's, and I'd never even seen a Koenigsegg in my life. And I got to get up close and personal with one of the Agiras and the Regera, which was sick. We got to we talked to one of the technicians of the Ford GT, and he
and the owner was like right there of the Koenigsegg too.
Yeah, one of the Koenigsegg's, like the owner was right there. We saw a McLaren a P1 GTR. We saw an F1 GTR. We saw the new Senna, the McLaren Senna. I mean, it was absolutely insane, the cars that we got to see there. The Lamborghini Centenario, tons of concept cars, Ferrari XXK. I mean, like, you name it, it was there. And like so many old cars too that I don't even know about. Like, it was just absolutely nuts. And if you love cars, you definitely need to go to Goodwood.
Yeah.
Because Goodwood was absolutely insane. So yeah, after Goodwood.
Yeah, I feel like we did a lot of like ticket buying things in Iceland, in London. There was a lot of attractions to do, but we didn't really do that many the rest of our trip. So
we didn't do super touristy stuff in London either. Like, we went and saw Big Ben, but it was like covered in scaffolding. We didn't ride the London Eye, but we went and looked at it. Like, they're just...
Yeah, I'm not into all that stuff.
I just don't like doing all the boring touristy stuff. Like, okay, cool, like we saw it, but...
I mean, some stuff like you have to, but I feel like there wasn't anything that really... I was like, oh man, I really want to do that.
Oh, we gotta go tour Parliament or something. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't. Oh, you gotta go see all the changing of the guards. Like, I don't care.
Sometimes that stuff is cool.
Yeah, sometimes, but like, I was way more into doing things that were like events, like going there and going to this thing. So we went to Lovebox, went to Wimbledon, and we went to Goodwood in the span of 3 days. Like, that was nuts. That was one of the coolest things that we did.
Yeah, that was cool.
And also at Wimbledon, we had to wait in the queue for a really long time. And also at Goodwood, we didn't wait in that queue for that. We didn't really wait in the queue, but we had to like get on a bus and get on a train. So that was like a kind of a waiting situation.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then the very next day after Goodwood, did we have a free day after Goodwood?
Yeah.
To explore? I think we had like one more day. We extended our stay, and then we went to Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
We flew, right?
Yeah.
Flew to Amsterdam. Probably EasyJet.
Did we fly out of Luton?
I think so, because we'd have, maybe not.
No, I didn't. I remember
we flew out of a different one
because
Gatwick.
I was like,
we flew out of Gatwick, didn't we?
Yeah, because I was like,
we're not going back.
Not doing Luton again.
No, fuck that. So we went to Gatwick, I think, and then we flew to Amsterdam, which Amsterdam is one of my favorite places in the world. Stay with our friend David, and basically, the first days that we were there, we spent hanging out with some New Zealand dudes.
We were there with Chelsea.
Oh, yeah, Chelsea. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. So the first day we were there, we had to get a hotel. We stayed in this hotel called Conscious Hotel. And a day before that, my friend Chelsea Zerna on Instagram, or on Facebook, shout out to Chelsea. I actually met her at a fitness event in Atlanta. And then I went to another event that she was hosting. I need to get her on my podcast, actually. Chelsea's super cool. But, dude, she's at Burning Man right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, anyways, Chelsea, super cool girl. She's actually decided to do a nomad, like, year or something. She's moving out of Atlanta. She's doing, like, a digital nomad thing. So, anyways, Chelsea was stuck in Amsterdam because she was on a standby ticket, theme of our trip as well. She was on a buddy pass on Delta, which basically means you're on standby, which means that you only get on the plane if there's empty seats. And she got it from a Delta employee. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. Yeah. But she was stuck in Amsterdam for like 4 or 5 days trying to get home to America. And she kept not getting on the flight. She'd go to the airport.
It was also because the World Cup was going on, and Amsterdam is a huge hub.
It was peak season. Amsterdam's a peak hub, a big hub for Delta, and it was during the World Cup ending. So everyone was trying to get back to America. And so she was not getting on any flights. It was a big, terrible mess for her. And she was stuck in Amsterdam for like 4 or 5 days. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, we're going to be in Amsterdam tonight and we have a hotel. If you want to come stay with us, feel free. So we met her in the airport and she ended up staying with us. That was actually really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, actually, to have like an extra person. And we got to kind of show her around Amsterdam a little bit because she actually hadn't gotten to explore Amsterdam.
First stroopwafel.
First stroopwafels. First trip to Albert Heijn. That was dope. But yeah, if you've never been to Amsterdam, go get some stroopwafels. They're amazing. But yeah, then basically after Amsterdam, then we stayed with David and we drove down to Brussels where we stayed with our friend Jan, our new friend Jan. And we'd never met Jan before, but he was a friend of David's. And we basically were just staying there because we were going to Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
So the main reason why we went to Amsterdam is to go to Tomorrowland. So Tomorrowland, if you want to hear all about going to Tomorrowland, you can listen to our other podcast because we talked about it pretty extensively, I feel like. But this year was a little different because we were doing both weekends of Tomorrowland, right? So kind of talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, so both weekends was definitely more than... It definitely was a lot because, you know, I feel like the first weekend you go, you're like, I just want a little bit more, but I think 2 weekends might have just been a little too much because we kind of got sick after the first weekend, and it was also, last year when we went, it wasn't near as hot, and the heat just totally drains you, so...
Luckily, Tomorrowland has a lot of indoor stages
Yeah.
and covered stages, which is so nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So nice. But, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Tomorrowland is the best music festival in the world. A lot of people say Burning Man. It's not a music festival, but a lot of people say Burning Man is better than Tomorrowland. I think next year we need to go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
But Tomorrowland. So yeah, we stayed in Brussels with our friend for 1 day, and then we basically drove up to Tomorrowland in Ramst.
Yeah.
And so Tomorrowland is in a town called Boom, and the neighboring town is Rumst. So actually, I think it's so big that part of it is in Rumst. And Rumst is spelled Rumst. And it was like a running joke for our whole trip to just be like
Ramst.
Ramst. Because it's so funny to say just Ramst, Keflavik, and Ramst. Were like the two main things that we would like say really goofy. And so it became a joke to say Ramst. But yeah. So we were at Tomorrowland. We did easy tents, which basically you show up and the tent is already pitched for you. In years prior, we did relax rooms. This was a lot cheaper, so we did it for both weekends. Looking back on it, honestly, I kind of just want to do regular camping next year.
Yeah, I would just say the only really perk to it is that...
We didn't have to travel with our camping equipment.
Yeah, but I mean, you could easily buy camping equipment for much cheaper than the price of the easy tents. The only nice thing is it's all set up and you're definitely staying with a higher class of people that it's just not as trashy as our own music festival, but I feel like still we were hanging out in the Dreamville a lot, and it was not near as kind of, I guess, gross as you would say as some other music festivals we've been to.
By the way, I think it would be interesting to people to say this. So I don't know if you know off the top of your head, how much did we spend in Iceland? Do you know? Like 1,000?
No, I think it was like
800?
500.
500 each?
Total.
Okay. So like Iceland we spent like 500. London was super expensive because we went to like all those different places.
Yeah, I think total combined it was like 1,600, including the flight to Amsterdam.
And then like Tomorrowland, excluding our ticket, well, including our tickets, we spent like a couple grand on those each.
Yeah.
And then like actually being at Tomorrowland and drinks and food and all that, we spent probably another 500 each.
Yeah, both weekends probably.
Yeah. So, but Tomorrowland is not as expensive as people think it is. Like, the ticket price is the main thing. But once you're there, like, it's not... I mean, it's really expensive to go there, but it's not, like, crazy expensive. Yeah. Like, it's doable. Like, sometimes people load on, like, 500 pearls onto their bracelet thinking they're going to spend that much. And it's like, no.
They never do.
You need, like, 100 to 200 euros on your bracelet, like, for a weekend. Yeah. And honestly, that's not too bad. Like...
And all the food is amazing. The food at Tomorrowland is the best food. It's like I would basically compare Tomorrowland as like a 5-star, like almost like a resort type thing.
You can
It's
go
like
as
literally
luxury.
a mini nice city.
You can go as luxury as you want, and you can go as ratchet as you want, basically.
Yeah, like you can literally rent out a mansion if you want. It's like a mansion they construct on the spot with a pool,
And it's
you
like
can get a
3,000
Michelin
per
star
person.
chef. It's you can get a DJ to come play there. It's like if you have the money, you can go as high as you want, pretty much.
Yeah. You can have the most luxury experience, or you can be camping in a one-person tent. It's basically up to you of how much you want to spend.
Yeah.
But Tomorrowland, I'm going to restart this recording. But yeah, so kind of talk about what was different about Tomorrowland this year, and like why, because this was your second Tomorrowland. Like, why was it better than last year?
I feel like it was just a lot better because you already kind of know what you're expecting. You already know how, it's not so foreign. You know how, like, where everything is. It's definitely, I don't know how to explain it. You don't get like that same
Anxiety.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be at Tomorrowland. Like, I've been thinking about going to this since I was like 13.
Yeah.
But you definitely still are like, this is about to be sick. There's a bunch of new stages. And I hadn't seen any of the new ones, but Andrew had been looking on like pages to see
But
like
I hadn't
leaked stuff.
really seen everything. I just kind of knew what some of them looked like.
Yeah, but I didn't really have any expectations before we went into it. So,
What'd you think about the main stage?
it was cool.
Better
I
than
think
last year?
last year's was cooler.
I think last year's was I think last year's is my favorite one of the ones I've been to, because I went. This was
There's
my
just so
third.
many little things in it.
Yeah. Last year was so dope because there was just like little sections of the stage that had all kinds of cool stuff and performers.
Yeah, it was like a whole carnival. Like each thing was just a different thing. It was so cool.
Yeah, but this year the stage was like seahorse themed, water themed, basically like Imagine Music Festival, how it should be. But
I wish.
yeah, you wish. But I'm gonna eventually post my Snapchat story, I think, to YouTube so you can see all the stages. But there's like 20 stages. Did an awesome stage tour.
I wouldn't really say there's that much different about it than last year's Tomorrowland, except obviously the new stages. Obviously, or the bathroom situation. It's always amazing there. Never had any issues with that. Every single toilet flushes. There's not a single porta potty at Tomorrowland. It's amazing.
It's fantastic. There's free water stations everywhere. Only the core stage ever overflowed with water.
Yeah.
And there's like a puddle underneath it. Like all the water stations are really clean, really nice, all drinkable water everywhere. It's just fantastic. The only downside of Tomorrowland is that it's just so spread out and you have to walk so much. But honestly, it adds to the
honestly
coolness.
though, I would say the distance from Electric
Stage to
Forest
stage.
is from the first stage to the backstage.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
You're right. And Electric Forest has 6 stages,
Yeah.
and Tomorrowland has
At
20.
least 20.
I mean, it's no comparison. It's
It's
absolutely
definitely
no
laid
comparison.
out very, very good.
They've got
a
their
lot
shit
of
together.
thought went
They've
into
got
every
their shit
little
together.
thing about Tomorrowland.
Yeah. And the other good thing about having 2 weekends for us was by the end of the first weekend, a lot of times you just feel really sad and you're like, oh
And
man,
also
I
you're
wish I would have
rushing
done
around
this.
to make sure you catch everybody.
Yeah, and so a lot of the artists were repeated from weekend 1 to weekend 2. So if we missed someone first weekend, we weren't bummed because we would just catch them on weekend 2, hopefully. We didn't have that same sadness when we were leaving.
Yeah.
And so it was nice. But honestly, 2 full weekends is too much.
Yeah.
Having 1 weekend, here's what I think would be ideal. Maybe going to Saturday or Sunday of the first weekend and then camping all of the second weekend.
Yeah.
That would be pretty
cool.
dope because you get 1 extra day to just see everything and kind of do the whole touristy Tomorrowland vibe, and then 1 weekend to camp and go hard and see everybody, because that's the other thing is once you've gone to Tomorrowland a lot of times, you make a lot of friends, and chances are a lot of them go the next year. So there's a lot of people that we knew that went weekend 1, and also a lot of people that we knew that went weekend 2. And if we would have just gone one of the weekends, we would have missed a ton of our friends.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool because weekend 1 we had Paul and all of his squad and Brittany and Lex and Daniel and all of them. And then the second weekend we were with Jan and Gaetan and all those guys.
Yeah, and Chad.
And Chad and Darshan and Melanie and all those people the second weekend. So It was way cooler to do both weekends, but it was just too much for our bodies to handle, to be honest, because
I think it wouldn't have been so bad either if it wasn't so hot and if we wouldn't have gotten sick.
Yeah, we got
it
kinda
was just
sick.
like in the campground area. I mean, I think on the Saturday it was 100 degrees, maybe even a little hotter in the middle of the day.
We just got wook flu.
So you just can't ever get not covered in sweat because there's no air conditioning anywhere in the campgrounds. Like, it's just, you wake up, you're covered in sweat. It's just, you can't escape the sweat.
You take a shower and you're immediately covered in sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awful. And I got a little bit sunburned, so that wasn't cool. I did go to the yoga a couple days in the first weekend, and it was pretty awesome. I like the yoga. The chill out area is cool, but yeah, it's just the second weekend I only went to the yoga one time because I was so sick. The gathering on the second weekend, I was so sick. I didn't even stay.
And you missed it. It was pretty good.
Armin van Buuren was the headliner.
Yeah.
Surprise
and
headliner.
Netsky played, but he actually played like a good set.
Yeah.
Like, really good.
I caught some of somebody, and it's pretty good, but I was just not feeling it. Like, it just sucked. But honestly, I wasn't sad about it. I went and hung out with Aaron at the chill out, and like I just slept on a hammock for a while. But anyways, first and second weekend, I still think second weekend might be better.
Yeah.
Because second weekend is the original weekend of Tomorrowland. And you get this, like, first weekend, you get this sense that, like, you're kind of missing out on the second weekend. Like, you know the second weekend is coming.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're kind of, like, missing out. And you're like, dang. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, dang, I wish I could stay.
The second weekend was just better. Like, there wasn't really anybody good the first weekend playing, like, surprise sets. Second weekend, like, Jax Jones played the brewery and, like, big mainstays DJs that I don't really care about. But the first weekend, there was none of that.
Yeah. Second weekend had way more cooler surprise sets, way more, like, I don't know. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
First weekend, though, did have a couple good people that weren't there the next weekend. Like, Claude Von Stroke played the first weekend, which was sick.
And the Mask Claptone stage was there the first weekend. That was amazing.
Yeah, core. But Claptone played the second weekend, too. But, yeah, like, the second weekend, like, Idris Elba played a set, and, like, Virgil Abloh played a set, and, like, the guy from Game of Thrones, The Mountain, I forget his real name, but he played a set. Like, there were so many cool, crazy, weird surprise sets.
No DJ Diesel, though. Shaq.
No DJ Diesel. But Rez played the first weekend. Rez was always awesome. I liked Rez.
Yeah.
I always like Rez. Even though her sets are always pretty much the same, I just really like her. They're very unique.
Yeah.
Even though they're kind of the same. But yeah, overall, Tomorrowland was a big success. In between the weekends, people are like, oh, what'd you do in between the weekends? But, like, it ends on Monday. Oh, yeah. We have to talk about how much we looted.
Oh, yeah.
So, because we were driving with David, we were able... So many people leave so much stuff behind at the campsite, like all their camping stuff that they just don't want to bring with them. So, we basically knew we were going to the second weekend, and we could use some of that camping stuff, like chairs, beer, sleeping bags, air mattresses, you name it, all kinds of camping stuff, shoes. People leave all that crap behind. And so, we just basically stayed until... the campsite was supposed to be closed, and we just went and, like,
we went through
tons
so
of
many
stuff.
people's tents.
All these abandoned tents that, like, because it's easy tents, they are there when you arrive, and you can just leave them when you leave. You can take them with you if you want, but most people just leave them. So we were just rummaging through people's stuff and seeing what they left behind. You would not believe the stuff that people leave behind.
Yeah.
We had, like, a whole trunk full of beers.
There was so much stuff that we couldn't even fit it all in the car.
We literally had to leave stuff behind because we legitimately couldn't even carry it. And then most genius move ever, we basically just dumped it all over the fence and just had one person on one side of the fence and one person on the other.
Yeah. And
then just pulled up our car right to the fence, essentially.
And since it was like 2 hours after everybody was supposed to be gone, there was no one there. So we just
loaded up the car and filled up that whole thing. That thing was riding low, and we basically couldn't even fit ourselves in there. We just squeezed ourselves. I was sitting next to a bunch of crap the whole time. But luckily, we were able to dump some at Jan's house, which made things way better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so basically, the weekend in between, like the week between, like we didn't even get to fully relax because we spent basically the whole day at Jan's house, then spent the night in Breda, and then that whole day we didn't get to really relax because we were just moving around the whole day. Then the next day we had to wake up early and go back to Amsterdam. And then that whole day we just basically slept the whole day. We didn't even leave the house at all. And then the next day we had to drive immediately back to Brussels. And do
laundry.
And we did laundry. And then the next day we basically had to move immediately back to Brussels. And then the next day is Tomorrowland again. So it was basically Tuesday, Wednesday are the only days in between, because Monday you wake up in Tomorrowland and then Thursday you arrive again. So really you only have Tuesday and Wednesday in between.
Yeah.
So you think you have a whole week in between, what'd you do for the week between? But you do not have a week.
Yeah.
You have 2 days and that's it. But weekend 2 was awesome. We got to hang out with Darius and Jesse. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty awesome. But then after Tomorrowland, we went back to Amsterdam for a day, and we honestly had not prepared after Tomorrowland.
We had no clue where we were going to go.
We had no idea where we were going to go. We didn't have a return flight home. We didn't have any tickets anywhere else. And we basically we woke up the morning after Tomorrowland.
No, because I remember going to bed the last night, and David was like, yeah, I mean, if you guys want, you can come to Breda. We have some bikes. It's really cool. You can actually bike to Belgium from Breda. We were like, yeah, that'd be cool. And because our friend was like, yeah, we might have a place in Portugal you can come to, but it was an Airbnb and the host hadn't confirmed it, so we were just kind of waiting on that, maybe we'll go there. We don't really know. So we're like, yeah, we'll probably go to Breda tomorrow, and then we wake up and he's like, Airbnb confirmed. So then we just bought plane tickets that morning.
I've never bought plane tickets for a flight that was the same day that we flew.
Yeah.
But we literally woke up that day not knowing what we were going to do, and then we ended up flying to the beach in Portugal.
Which was amazing.
Which was so dope.
So dope. Nice there in Portugal. That was just what we needed after 2 weekends of Tomorrowland. Just to finally chill and relax by the pool.
So our friend Jan had rented this dope Airbnb. It had a pool. It had 5 bedrooms?
Yeah. There's a water park across the street.
There's a water park across the street. It could sleep 8 people or 9 people at least. It had a full kitchen. We ate amazing food. Aaron cooked for us. Jan cooked for us. We cooked burgers one night. It was amazing. We went to a beach club one night. Went to a sunset set. Went to watch some techno and house music.
Right on the beach. It was amazing.
Right on the beach. It was so dope. We went to the beach one day. We hung out at the pool one day. We went to the water park one day. It was just super fun. How about that
water park? That was the first time I've ever seen a roller coaster
that goes in the water.
Yeah.
Except for that one at Cedar Point.
Yeah, but that one got closed because someone died on it because the car flipped.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that should be on Defunct Land. I think they might have done an episode on that, but...
Anyway.
It was a weird log flume that basically was part roller coaster, part log flume, and one of the roller coasters, one of the cars flipped over and killed a little kid. So they shut it down. But at this water park, there was no part where the coaster ever... Actually, yeah, it did go off the track. And it was pretty dope. It was a roller coaster that went in the water and you got splashed, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Well, Splash Mountain's kind of like that, but you don't float. It's not like a water ride. You just get wet.
This is the only time where it's an actual roller coaster at a water park, is what I'm saying.
That's
you
true.
Literally get on this ride without a shirt on or shoes.
That's very true. It's odd. It's very odd, but it's really cool. And
that water park was awesome.
And that water park was no rules.
Yeah.
Normally at water parks in America, you have to wait until the person's at the bottom to go. They were just go. Go. There were some times where I thought I was going to hit some people.
Yeah.
Definitely less safety regulations.
Yeah, they were a little scarily relaxed, that place.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. But then we went to visit my old host family. So for people who don't know, I was an au pair in Spain. And so that meant that I lived with a family there, and I basically hung out with their kids and taught them English for 3 months, a couple years, or 2 years ago.
That was amazing.
And we went to their beach house with them.
Everybody we met was so hospitable, you know?
Yeah, super hospitable. So after Portugal, they were staying in Portugal for a few more days, but we wanted to go spend some time in Spain. So we took 2 buses. We went up took a bus to Sevilla, and then took a bus down to Sancti Petri, where they have a beach house. and it was awesome. We
Yeah.
stayed there for like a week. Honestly, Gonzalo, if you're listening to this, thank you so much.
Yeah.
My host dad that he hosted us for, he and his family hosted us. It was amazing. Got to hang out with the boys again. Matthew got to like really hang out with them and see what it was like. Their current au pair was there too, Juan Carlos. He was really cool. But then he left for the weekend, so it was just us, which is cool. We ate amazing food every single day, home-cooked meals.
Spanish food is amazing.
And like, to be honest,
it was like a reset. It was almost like I'd be able to do this whole trip again after being there because it just felt like you were at home. You weren't living that travel life where you don't have like just the normal stuff you'd have at home. Like this was actually someone's house where they were living. So that was just such a good reset.
Yeah, we weren't in a hostel. We weren't in an Airbnb. It was just awesome. And yeah, it was just great. We spent some time at the beach. Every single day we were like, at the beach. We were at the pool. There was no Wi-Fi, so I was kind of bummed because I was trying to get a podcast episode out, but I stopped worrying about that. Because that was the other thing, was during this whole trip, I was freaking out because I was having technical difficulties with my podcast, but in between the 2 weekends of Tomorrowland, I was able to get them sorted out, which is nice, but I didn't have any uploads for like a couple weeks, which kind of bummed me out. But, whatever. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but I guarantee you that there's people out there that haven't listened to every single episode of the podcast, so there's content to listen to. It wasn't like everyone's listened to every single episode and they were waiting with bated breath for a new one to release. But it was super awesome. We were able to relax and chill for a bit, hang out with the kids again. Super fun. Did it give you some perspective on hanging out with kids?
Yeah, because I'd never really done that. Never really spent a lot of time around kids. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, you normally get immersed with kids in like spurts. Mm-hmm. Like you go to someone's house and you hang out with their kids for a couple hours, but then that's it. Yeah. You don't get to hang out with kids.
They're really well behaved though,
For sure. Yeah, and they've gotten a lot better since I was there too. Like as far as crying and getting along better, I think they were a lot better, which was hilarious because Juan Carlos, the current au pair, could not believe that.
The funniest part was, so your job over there was to, you can only speak English to the kids so they improve their English skills. Their other au pair that was there now actually knew Spanish, but the kids didn't know that at all. So they would always be like, speak in English so he can understand. So
yeah,
that was hilarious.
Basically, they told the au pair not to speak Spanish ever. So the kids, it was a secret. The kids had no idea that he could even speak Spanish. Mm-hmm. So he understood what they were saying if they weren't speaking in English, but he had to pretend like he didn't know. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty hilarious. But I really hope that they end up telling him at the end of the summer. It would be pretty hilarious.
Film that reaction.
Film the reaction. It would be pretty funny. But then we really didn't know where we were going to go until like a couple days towards the end. And we were actually able to stay a couple extra days in Spain, which is nice. Mm-hmm. So we basically spent like a full week there, which was awesome.
That was awesome.
So awesome. Thank you again to Gonzalo and Blanca for hosting us. It was so nice. But then we went to Budapest. Mm-hmm. We took a flight, right? No.
Yeah.
Flight.
Yes.
From Madrid. We took a blah car to Madrid. Mm-hmm. And we saw our friend Becky.
Interesting.
We saw Becky Barry for like an hour maybe.
Yeah.
Which is pretty hilarious.
But car, for people that don't know what that is, it's really cool actually. It's like a carpooling shared service. It's not really like Uber where this driver's just driving people around to drive people around. This driver is actually, so say, you were going to drive from Atlanta to Florida. You could put on there, hey, I'm driving. I have 3 open seats in my car. It's such and such amount of money if anybody wants to come. So it's really smart because we didn't have a car and we needed to get to Madrid and it was like $60 each to take the train. Or we could have just gotten this car for like $20 each. And then we rode with some locals to Madrid and they dropped us off exactly where we wanted to go. So it was perfect. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's a smart app.
It's super smart. And like the only downside was the guys we rode with were extremely smelly. But they just smelled like body odor. But hey, it's all good. We got to our destination on time. And then we flew.
That guy drove fast.
Dude, he was driving so fast. We
That
were
was
kind of concerned
insane.
we weren't going to make our flight, and we got there with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah.
So we flew from Madrid to Budapest, and Budapest was awesome.
Yeah, I think Budapest is definitely like one of my favorite cities over there. Mainly just because you can indulge, like live like a king.
Honestly,
And
it might be one of my new favorite cities.
And you don't feel bad. Because like London, it's like, oh man, let's go to a nice restaurant. And then you get the bill and it's like $70 for 2 people. And you're just like, ugh. But over there, it's like, yeah, let's go out to eat. Let's have a good time. Let's live it up. And it doesn't really cost an arm and a leg, you know?
Yeah, it only costs an arm.
Yeah.
We went to like this super. Oh yeah, we stayed in an Airbnb in Budapest.
Yeah, that
best idea ever. Our Airbnb host is super nice.
Yeah, she gave us tons of tips on where to eat and all that stuff.
We went to this amazing restaurant the first day. It was like a luxury restaurant. Honestly, in America, if we went to that restaurant, it would have been at least, $70, $80, $100 for the 2 of us. And we spent what, like 30?
Well, we both got a drink and an appetizer and a meal, and it was like
$30.
Yeah, total.
Yeah, it was amazing. What else did we do that day? We kind of did the touristy stuff, explored. Matthew'd been to Budapest before. I'd never been there before. But yeah, we just kind of explored around, and then we went to see like the Parliament building, walked around. Then the next day, was that the day that we went to the baths?
No, we went to the baths after.
After Szeged?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure? No, Szeged, we went on like Sunday.
Yeah.
So the next day we went to the baths, and they have these famous thermal baths where basically they're these really ancient old baths where like people would go to, relax and rejuvenate. It's like a spa basically. And they have all these different pools, 3 outdoor pools. 2 of the big ones are hot pools, and then the one in the middle is cold and has a lap thing in the middle. And then there's an indoor hot tubs, like these, and they're all different temperatures, and they have all different minerals in the water.
Yeah. It's basically just like a giant spa. It's actually not like ancient. It's just like a Hungarian tradition. There's multiple spas.
But the tradition goes back a long time. It's not ancient, but it goes back like at least 100 years or something. And the architecture of the spas is like really cool and like very traditional looking.
Yeah, and it's still like a thing that all the Hungarians do normally. Like,
but they don't want to go when all the tourists
it's not just like a bunch of tourists there. There's still like local people that you saw there,
Yeah. So it was cool because we had this like Szeged wristband, which is like this festival that we'll talk about in a second. But basically, it's like a music festival. So with the Szeged pass, we had like access to the metro. We got 1 free pass to one of the thermal baths. Was it free entry?
Yeah, it was free.
Free entry to one of the thermal baths, and we also got a free like ferry or something to the festival, to Szeged.
Yeah.
So anyway, and Szeged is like a little island. Mm-hmm. So anyways,
then I think
the thermal bath
that
though was really cool. It's definitely a must. If you go to Hungary or you go to Budapest, definitely go to the thermal baths. And then it was kind of the same system where you had that little watch band on that opened up your locker.
Blue Lagoon.
Same as Blue Lagoon. It gets you a locker. You can put money. You can spend money on it, and then when you leave, you just pay however much you spent on your band, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a lot less clean than the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is very like luxurious, very expensive. The Hungarian thermal baths were a little cheaper. You don't get a towel. The locker rooms were way less nice. It was a little more ratchet, but it was still really, really cool. Still really nice.
So if anybody wants to know what it was called, it was the Széchenyi bath. It's like the same spelling as the main bridge. It's like SZCHENI.
And you can take the metro directly there. It's super easy.
But what I heard is the Gellert one is divided. So there's a half for men and a half for women.
So if you're gay,
and it's all like you don't wear. It's like no clothes.
You don't wear clothes at all?
That's what I heard.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, because
I'm really glad we didn't go that. Because
we met some gay guys at Tomorrowland. They were like, yeah, we like the other ones better, actually.
Yeah.
But we realized they liked the other ones better because they were gay and they just wanted to see some naked dudes.
Yeah.
So if you want to see naked dudes, then definitely go to the other one. But if you don't want to see naked dudes and you want to see some members of the opposite sex, then go to the other one. So definitely do that.
It was honestly very similar to Blue Lagoon. It just wasn't Blue Lagoon. Like, they had the same spa, same saunas, same hot tubs, like waterfalls.
Yeah, but like way more different baths and
I
stuff.
think there's 85 baths total. That's what I heard.
Whoa.
Yeah, 85 pools at this
Wow.
place. It's crazy.
It was pretty nuts.
And they were
we
pretty
explored for a
adamant
long
about
time.
checking it. There was that lady going around with the temperature thing, sticking it in every single pool, making sure. I mean, they must have had a pool every single temperature between ice cold to as hot as you would want it.
Yeah, they had ice plunges. So basically, like, once you kind of get overheated, you could go, like, jump in this bath that was super cold to, like, bring your body temperature back down. And then you could go back in the sauna or whatever and kind of, like, restart. Because sauna is actually really good for you, like, really healthy to sweat out all the toxins. And then also you actually produce these things called heat shock proteins that are, like, really good for longevity. Like, I don't know if you know this or, like, have listened to any podcasts about it.
Joe Rogan talks about it all
Joe
the time.
Rogan talks about it. Like, he actually has a sauna in his podcasting studio where he goes and does, like, 20 minutes every day or like, 15 minutes every day. So I try to do sauna at least, like, 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah,
or hot
same.
yoga, 3 or 4 times a week to just get that, like, sweat out and get those heat shock proteins going because it's really good for you. But anyways, Blue Lagoon is way nicer, but if you are in Hungary, definitely
Also,
go to
the
the thermal
Seychelles
baths.
bath, I think, just for the normal admission, it's only like 20
$20 or something.
versus Blue Lagoon was 90, I think. So, I mean, you're paying for what you get.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. I thought it was a little less than that. Maybe it was like 70 or
With
80.
the fees, it was like 90.
Damn. Yeah. Pretty expensive, but totally worth it. And even if you're on a layover in Reykjavik, you could still totally go from the airport, take an Uber, and come back. Because the other thing that's cool about both of those places is once you get in, there's not like a time where you have to leave.
Yeah.
So once you're in, you're in.
Mm-hmm.
But once you don't want to... That was our mistake when we went to the Seychelles baths, is we didn't eat before we went. So we were like starving.
Which leads us to
Which
the
leads
next
us to
best
the
part of
Trofeo Grill, which was the best buffet I have ever been to.
Yeah.
Better than Golden Corral. I'm just kidding.
Better than CC's.
Better than Piccadilly Circus. Dude, so this place, Trofeo Grill, if you go to Hungary and you go to the Széchenyi Baths, it's like a 15-minute walk from
Maybe. Yeah, I guess so.
It
You
was
have to
like
walk
15
through
or
that
20
park.
minutes you had to walk through the park, but holy shit. Okay, how much was it per person?
I think our total was 24 euros.
20, I think it was 28. So I think it was 14 euros per person.
Yeah.
14 euros per person. That's what, 16 US?
Yeah.
17 US? And this was the most gourmet buffet, souffle, parfait. I'm just trying to rhyme. This is the most gourmet buffet I have ever been to in my life. And you also get unlimited beer and unlimited wine.
Yeah.
What the heck? Like, it was absolutely nuts. And you could, like, pick out the cuts of meat and they would cook it for you right there. So you're like, oh, can I get that salmon? And they would cook it perfectly. Literally, it was some of the best salmon I'd ever had. And it was like a giant
Yeah, and I was
chunk.
just like, yeah, can I get some shrimp? And this guy loaded me up with like at least 30.
There was a whole plate of shrimp. We had a giant fillet of salmon. There was also fresh rolled sushi, which was dank.
Soup.
They had like barbecue. They had amazing desserts. They had super good soup, good salads, great grilled vegetables.
Like, I work at a country club where they have these, like, buffet where it's, like, supposed to be really nice. It's, like, $70 a person, and this was way better than any of those. Like, you go to a nice wedding, like, this was way better than that.
And it was 14 euros per person,
Yeah.
unlimited beer, unlimited wine. It was absolutely nuts. The only kicker was that they were about to transition from lunch to dinner. Dinner started at like 5:30 and lunch ended at like 5.
Yeah.
And we showed up at 4:15. So we basically
literally
had
had
45
45
minutes to eat as much as we could. And honestly, I'm glad we had a time limit because I think if we would have been able to just eat unlimited food,
We would have thrown up.
We would have puked because I wouldn't have stopped. We stuffed
so
ourselves in 45 minutes. It was absolutely nuts. And also, there was like unlimited sparkling water.
They must have
really
thought
cool
that we were just insane, because I feel like over there it's so much more tradition to when you go to a restaurant, it's just a process. You take your time. You know, if the service is slow, it's not like the biggest deal in the world. I mean, it is, but it's just more the tradition. And it's like just so, they were probably like, these guys are nuts. We must have gone back up to the buffet like at least 6 times each in a 45, probably more than that. So like, we just would get a plate and just wolf the whole thing down and then go back up there. Meanwhile, it's just like, and this is actually a pretty nice place too. Everybody else there seemed to be dressed up pretty nice, and we were, I think, still in our bathing suit bottoms and the t-shirt.
Well, I think the fact that we were there for lunch helped us out too, because we weren't there for dinner. Apparently, if you're there for dinner, you got to get reservations and stuff, because this place like fills up really quickly.
Yeah.
Which,
and on the way out, we didn't even see it, but there was like a milkshake and ice cream bar that actually looked good. Like, it wasn't some Jason's Deli soft serve joke of an ice cream bar. This thing was like didn't even have fresh tubs.
And we ate our faces off right up until 5.
Yeah.
You bet your ass we were in there scarfing down food until the very last second. Like, they were basically trying to kick us out.
Yeah.
And then finally at like 5:10 we had wrapped up. Because basically like right at 5 we said, okay, we can't go up to the buffet anymore. They were like switching out the food and all that stuff. And they'd warned us a bunch of times that it was going to transition over to dinner and we needed to be out of there by 5. But it wasn't like
we were being obnoxious. Like,
no.
They were understanding, because we kind of showed up and they were like, yeah, sorry, it's over. Do you still want to do it? And we were like, yeah, sure. And they were like, okay, you have until 5. Like, they were cool about it.
And also, I just have to point out that Matthew was very skeptical about this place, and I did a little bit of research and I was down for it, and it ended up being like one of the best food experiences of our whole trip.
Yeah.
So just want to point out that Andrew never steered you wrong on the food.
Yeah.
So then after that, the next day we went to Szeged. Well, at least Matthew went to Szeged. So basically,
you got seasick really bad.
Yeah, seasick / really drunk. So we went to we had this thing called a boat party, and we went to Szeged, which is this giant music festival. It's like 7 days long or something crazy. Also, we never pointed out the ruin bars. We went to the ruin bars.
Yeah.
Those were sick too. We went to like these crazy cool bars like the nights before.
After the war and they bombed out a lot of the bars and stuff, they were just like these half livable like buildings that were just like
the roofs were all blown off and stuff.
Yeah. So all these people turned them into these really cool underground bars that are just crazy. Like, just
they're huge, too.
Insane stuff inside of there.
It's essentially like...
It's like a blast from the past.
It's like 10 bars. It's like 10 bars in one.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Super fun. Everyone's hanging out. Like, tons of different music in every area. You know, it's outdoors and indoors. So, like, you get a nice breeze. It's not too hot. Super dope. The coolest one was Zimpla Kurt. So, if you're going there, Zimpla Kurt, it's like SZIMPLA KERT. That was like one of the coolest ones. We went there twice, and then also...
And drinks weren't expensive either.
Drinks were not expensive. Hungary is super cheap. Super cheap. And then also we went to... What was that other one that was really cool?
It seems like it would be a touristy place, but it's not at all. That's what's cool. I mean, it kind of is, but...
Yeah. Not nearly as touristy as like London or Amsterdam or something.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the other place, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Szeged. So Szeged is like 7 days long. It's a camping music festival. It's on an island, and they have like boat parties. There's all kinds of stuff, and it's not just music.
Szeged's a really cool festival. Like, I would want to go back there, because one day was definitely not enough to see it, because it's really interesting. Like, some people do all 7 days of this music festival. And it's also interesting.
It's dirty as hell.
Yeah.
It was so dusty.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it's strange, because normally when you go to a music festival, there's the camping area, and then you go through another security checkpoint to get to the stages. Well, at this place, all people were camping right next to where the stages were. There's just the camping was all intertwined in the festival.
So you're like walking along, and there's just like people's tents right next to you, which seems sketchy, to be honest, but like, it's not bad.
Yeah. And obviously there's no cars because it's on an island.
Yeah, it's on an island. was pretty cool. But we were late to our boat party. So we had a VIP boat party thing. And we get to this place and we're like running late. We were freaking out. So we were literally running through this festival, this dirty festival. And like Matthew was like dying. We wanted to stop running, but we were like, dude, we're going to miss this boat. And if we miss the boat, like it was going to be really bad. And we ended up having to wait for the boat for way longer. So we were totally like sweaty and like out of breath.
Yeah, and it was a really hot
just
day.
to wait for way longer. But anyways, this boat party was hosted by Gorgon City, which is like a really cool like house DJ duo. And we really liked them. So we were like super stoked on that. But the cool thing about the VIP tickets was the VIP tickets were the only tickets left. Everything else was sold out. And the VIP tickets included like, free snacks and like unlimited beer and wine. And like
this is the biggest joke of a VIP
area. The VIP area, by the way, it wasn't even close to the stage. This free snacks.
There was maybe 10 places to sit.
The free snacks were like shitty chips. They were like these cheddar chips that sucked. And then it was like the only good thing about it was the unlimited beer and wine. And the only good part about it is also the only bad part about it. Because we definitely drank too much. Me definitely drank too much. And I got very sick. I basically it was super hot. So we were just like drinking. And, you know, because also it was like hot and it was like a cold drink, so you wanted to drink a lot. But we met these two girls and we were just drinking with them. And me and the two girls got way too sick. Like we were drinking this rosé, this like white wine that was cold.
Yeah.
And we drank way too much, way too fast. And we got sick. And it was just not good. And basically, I got too sick that I couldn't even go to the music festival, which really sucked because Matthew ended up going and I went back to the Airbnb and basically slept.
Yeah, which is really sad because the music festival was the day they had the Elro family stage, and they're probably one of the craziest stage designs I've ever seen. It's just like so much confetti and just wacky things. Like when we were it's all these people walking on stilts through the crowd and just weird things. Like they always have all these inflatables that they throw out at people. Like this one was a ice cream cone with like a baby's face on it, but it was like a cartoon baby. It's just weird stuff that they have there. But it was really cool. The boat party was also really cool. I don't know how much of that you really remember, but it was super cool because
I remember Gorgon City.
Yeah, because the river goes right through the middle of the city where like the Parliament building and everything is. So you're just listening to amazing music on this boat, and it's just cruising through beautiful Budapest. That was definitely one of the highlights of the trip.
For sure. And like the other cool thing about Sziget is like it's on an island, so the boat like pulled you back like to the festival, right?
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
you just got right back on.
You just go right back to the festival, which is pretty dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, like basically, yeah, I got way too drunk.
But it honestly wasn't that bad because we both went back to the Airbnb and then it started raining. So I just kind of chilled out because that festival would have been would have been so nasty if I was there when it was like pouring. And I did fall like in the mud one time. It was so slippery.
That sucks.
Yeah, I don't know what they would have done if it would have rained every day like that. That would have been a Tomorrow World problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Budapest was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I kind of like, it was kind of like this first day of Tomorrowland for me for the second weekend where I was just like so sick. I woke up and I could have gone to the festival and met up with Matthew, but I was just feeling so bad that I just didn't even want to go.
Yeah.
So it sucks that we wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of money on the festival and didn't even really get to go to it, but it's whatever. And then the last day we kind of just like hung out in the Airbnb and like,
yeah, got some really good food. That Greek place we went to.
Oh yeah, that Greek place was amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was pretty much our Budapest experience. And then do you want to explain the Rome situation? Because I'm honestly just over it.
The Rome situation. So we were in Budapest.
Can I have some of your water, by the way?
We messaged. So the way we figured out we were going to get home was one of our friends was really generous and was like, yes, I can get you a buddy pass home. So the same situation we said with our friend Chelsea, that was what we were going to have to do to get home. So we booked
a friend that works for Delta.
Yeah, so she's a flight attendant, and she was able to get us a pass where you're just on standby pretty much. So we were like, so our flight home was out of Rome. So we're in Budapest. We had to figure out how to get to Rome. So
because Rome looked like one of the best days to fly out because there was like a lot of seats open on this one flight. It's like Saturday, Rome, looks like there's a lot of seats open. Go there and you'll have a flight home.
Yeah.
So we had to figure out how to get to Rome.
So I also went to Vienna last year and I wanted Andrew to see Vienna. So we were like, we don't have enough days to go to Vienna before Rome.
Because we didn't want to just go to Rome just to fly home because Matthew's never been to Rome.
Yeah, I've never been to Rome, and Rome has so much cool stuff.
You can't see Rome in a day.
Well, you can, because I did it. So basically, the flight from Budapest to Rome, I think, was like 140. Or what we could have done is taken a train and then flown from Vienna. So we'd be in Vienna for like 2 hours, and Andrew could have seen it, or could see Vienna. And so we decided to go with that route because it was $40 cheaper. It would have only been $100 to do it that way, and you would have gotten to see an extra city. So we decided to do that, but we basically shouldn't have done that because we didn't end up being able to use the train ticket we bought or the plane ticket, because what happened was we got on the train and it said that you could have a mobile boarding pass in
Austria.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're only going to be in Budapest for like half the train ride. Usually they don't even come check. Like sometimes they check it. So this guy's like, tickets. And then we show him our tickets. He goes, nope, these aren't valid. He's like, they have to be printed out so that he could stamp them to show that it's been used. But what's going to stop me from just printing two and using it again? It was really stupid.
Well, what they should do is have a scanning system.
Yeah. But for some reason they don't. It's very odd. Like
you have to punch
even
the
when I
ticket
was
or
there
something.
last year with the URL pass, they punch it every time. It's
very ancient.
And you can't buy train tickets online. Like you have to still go to the station. It's very odd. It's not just like buying a flight. It's kind of like, is this going to work if you buy it online? Like it's always kind of sketchy. It's not just like a plane ticket where when you buy it, it's going to work. But anyway, yeah. So we're on the train and this guy's like, tickets, and I show him our things, and he zooms in on the screen, and the whole ticket's in Hungarian. We have no clue how to read it. And he zooms in where it says in Hungarian, ticket must be printed. So he's like, all right, guys, these tickets aren't valid. Get off the train. And we're just like, what? And he's like, yeah, get off. And then just kept on walking. He's like, so you guys gonna get off? And he's like, or you can buy a ticket. So we ended up having to buy a ticket for like double the price we thought we were going to have to pay online. So that set us back a good bit of money. So then we were like, whatever, this sucks, but it is what it is. So then we finally get to Vienna. Vienna's really cool. It's pretty expensive there. We had about 2 hours. We saw St. Stephen's Cathedral and then just walked around that area. And then we planned it out so we would get back to the train station and hop on the train to the airport and catch our flight home. Well, of course, the train runs every 30 minutes. And we get to the train station, kind of cutting it a little bit close, but we definitely would have made it to the platform. And so we get to we're kind of rushing to get to the platform. And then I hear over the loudspeaker, sorry for the inconvenience, but the train to the airport has been canceled for this one. So we're just like, oh my gosh, this is not good. So we scrambled to get an Uber, and then having to figure out where the pickup location is for the Uber, because this train station has so many entrances, and it's not a very car-friendly city. It's, most of the European cities are public transportation, and bikes and walking are really the preferred way of getting around. So we had to figure out where this Uber was going to pick us up, and then there was some traffic. We were kind of getting to the airport. We were definitely there later, way later than we should have been.
And we also had gotten an email saying our flight was delayed.
Yeah. And I'd gotten an email earlier that day saying the flight was delayed by 30 minutes. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's not the end of the world. So then we get to the airport, and then security was pretty short, but your bag got
We were
flags.
also cutting it really close.
Yeah.
Like our check-in time was like when we were arriving at the airport, basically.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, so We get through security, and then the plane is still sitting there, and I'm like, can I get on? And I show the lady my boarding pass, and she just kind of laughed. And it said plane doors closed 20 minutes before departure, and there was also a delay, and it was more than 20 minutes before. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And she just goes, sorry. And I go, so I can't get on? The plane's still right there. All you have to do is just open the door. And she's like, no, sorry, the door's already closed. You can't get on. We're just like, you got to be kidding me. And so she was like, we're like, so what do we do? Can you help us book another flight? She's like, yeah, the desk is outside of security and you can book another flight. So there's absolutely no one in this entire airport that works for this airline we were flying, Aerowings. And so we had to get all the way back down to this booking counter. And we thought, okay, you missed the flight. They'll just get us on the next one. Nope. They're like, yeah, sorry, you missed your flight. You're just kind of shit out of luck and you got to just buy another plane ticket. So we had to buy a whole nother plane ticket on the spot for a flight that left like 4 hours later. And at this point, we were just so pissed off because it's all this traveling on the train and figuring out metros and all this stuff. We just wanted to get to Rome and, trying to message our Airbnb person. He was already being kind of strange. So then finally, we just had to buy another plane ticket, bite the bullet, and then we finally get on, and half the plane's like empty too. So
the other thing was about the plane ticket being late was like in fine print on the email, it said, just because your departure is now later does not affect check-in time.
Yeah.
And so we're like, what's the point of sending us an email telling us our flight's delayed if it doesn't affect the time that we have to arrive?
Yeah,
like,
it was
stupid.
ridiculous. We sat there and watched the plane sit there for 20 minutes easily.
Literally, the plane that we should have been on, we were watching it just sit there. And the reason why they sent us that email was just to let us know that the plane was going to take off later because of some like weird thing. But I think it was because of a rule of Rome. There was like too many flights going into Rome, so they had to like space them out or something weird. Yeah. So they had to wait. It was so stupid.
So we finally get to Rome, and then the next day we actually had a tour scheduled.
That was the first plane I've ever missed, by the way. That was the first flight I've ever missed. I've been close. Yeah. That was the first plane I've ever missed. Yeah. And on top of that, it was the same day that we basically like had to forfeit our train tickets. So our train tickets and our plane tickets didn't work. And
I was like, I think we were going to save all this money doing this extra little leg, getting to see another city. It
totally didn't.
It just backfired like crazy. So then we finally got on the later flight. We get to Rome, check into the Airbnb. It wasn't the nicest Airbnb, but it was pretty cheap, so we were just like, whatever. We had a really cool day ahead of us the next day. We had a Vatican tour and a Colosseum tour all in one day. So everybody who tells me that you can't see Rome in one day, you're wrong, because I did it.
Well, you didn't see all of Rome in one day.
But I saw like a good bit of it.
Not really, dude. There's so much. There's so much more.
I mean, I feel like I knocked out a good bit of the stuff to see in a day, though.
Yeah, but not really. Like, there's so many things, like, so many of even, like, the huge touristy things that you didn't see. You didn't see the Parthenon. You didn't see the Trevi Fountain. You didn't see
I did.
No, we didn't.
Wasn't that big square?
No.
Oh.
No, dude. Like, that's like the government building or something.
Oh.
That's not the Parthenon. Parthenon is like an ancient
the
building.
fountain.
The fountain.
What was the fountain thing you just said? The Trevi Fountain?
The Trevi Fountain?
Yeah.
Which fountain are you talking about?
Where is that?
You didn't go to it. I went there the next day after you left.
Oh.
Yeah, the Trevi Fountain. It's like a really famous, like, giant fountain. There's also this these stairs. It's called the Spanish Steps. It's like really cool. It's like this giant area where you walk to the top of the steps and you can see like this really cool view of the city. Those are like two of the other big things that you didn't get to see. Parthenon. There's also like tons of other ancient stuff. I mean,
I definitely saw more than anybody would ever see in one day, though. Like,
we only saw the Vatican in the Colosseum, and we also went to the like Circus Maximus.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like what else could we have done in that day?
But you can't see Rome in a day. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like I did like the best.
Yeah, but we also wasted a ton of time because it rained too.
Yeah.
We could have seen more.
Okay, whatever.
I know, but you're like, anyways, it's nitpicking, but I'm just saying, you really can't see Rome in a day because there's so much crap to see. We did our best though.
Yeah.
We did like a lot of stuff, But we saw like the Vatican, we saw the Colosseum, and we went to like Circus Maximus. But anyway, so we went to the Vatican. Vatican was super dope. I've been there before. Matthew hadn't been there. And what did you think about the Vatican?
It was sick.
What was like the
crazy
thing? Did you even like know about it beforehand?
Not really. Like, I was really glad we had that tour guide.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at this point in the trip, we were on the road for like 5-6 weeks, and it was just like, I don't want to have to research anything. I just want somebody to tell me about this place. Like, it was a nice tour.
Yeah.
Which I felt kind of bad because, like, it is a really cool city, and I should have known some stuff going into it, but yeah.
To be fair, we didn't even know we were going to Rome until like 3 days before we went to Rome.
Yeah, that's true.
Either way. So Vatican was awesome. Then we had a Colosseum tour. So we went back to our Airbnb to change real fast. We went and got some pizza, and we got to the Colosseum tour at the meetup place. Long story short, starts raining. We get in the wrong tour group. They tell us to go back to the check-in. It's too late to check in, and we missed the entire tour. We call the tour company. It's the last tour of the day. They can't do anything except for give us another tour for the next day, and we're leaving the next day. We're leaving to go home, and so they're like, sorry, basically we can't do anything for you. Long story short, kudos to City Wonders because they actually came through. They ended up giving us a refund for a Colosseum tour, which was really cool of them. And honestly, like, I've done City Wonders tours like 3 or 4 times. I've never had a bad experience except for at the Colosseum tour.
Yeah. And
it was because of the rain. It was a big misunderstanding. And it wasn't necessarily anyone's fault. It was probably partly our fault, probably partly their fault. But we ended up getting our money back. So City Wonders, in part of my email that I said I was going to, basically in my email where I was requesting a refund, I basically told them I'm going to badmouth them on my podcast if they didn't give me my money back. And
yeah, because that was ridiculous.
Because it was totally messed up. It was totally unfair. You know, like I said, it was partially both parties' faults, I think. So City Wonders, I will definitely recommend them to anybody who is looking for a great tour in Rome or Italy. I think we went and did tours with them the last time when I was there. So I highly recommend City Wonders. But the Vatican tour we did was super great. And I've done their Colosseum tour before.
Really
the Colosseum tour I did before there was really great. But unfortunately, we didn't get to go to the Colosseum tour the next time. But anyways, it ended up raining. And it just ended up kind of being the rest of the day, kind of a crappy day. We missed our tour. And then they evacuated the Colosseum. And we couldn't even like go. And then later we ended up being able to go.
This was the day after we just missed a flight and messed up a train. So it's just like, oh my gosh, everything
what else can go wrong? The whole beginning of the trip, like nothing really went wrong.
Yeah, nothing went wrong. Everything was perfect.
And then the rest of the trip, the last leg. So we were just exhausted, ready to go home. We're super stoked. The next day we're packing everything up. We're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so nice to sleep in our own bed. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so nice, blah, blah, blah. And we get to the airport and we didn't get on our first flight because it was a direct flight to Atlanta and it was totally full. No worries, we got another flight we can potentially get on to Detroit, and we don't get on that one because it's full, and it was a connection to Detroit to Atlanta. Then there was one more flight of the day that we could potentially get on, and it was a flight to New York or a direct flight to Atlanta, and they were at the same time, so we had to choose. And the direct flight to Atlanta looked like it was totally booked, so we weren't going to go there. And then the flight to New York had a few open spots, so we were like, hopefully we make it. But if we didn't make it on this flight, we were screwed. There was no more flights. We had to go back to and stay another day, and we were not excited about that. We were really ready to go home, but
which I wasn't like that the whole trip. It was really just after we left Budapest and all the bad stuff started happening. I was just like, I'm just tired of spending money that's going nowhere. Like, let's just get out of here.
We just wanted to go the heck home and get back to a stable situation, because the worst thing about traveling is packing and repacking your stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And the transit. Once you stay in a location for a few days, it's nice. Like, I think you should stay in each location for like 5 days at least when you're at a new place. We didn't really follow that rule on our trip, but like we kind of did. So the main thing was, it was just, we were in Rome for only a couple days. We were just exhausted. It was raining. We missed our flight. We missed our train. We missed our, tour. We were just ready to go the heck home and stop spending money. That was the other thing. We were just broke as hell. We wanted to just go home. And long story short, we were, hoping that we would make it on this flight to New York. And
there was a family of 4, in front of us.
In line. And
there
basically
was only one seat open. There was only one seat left. And we were like, dude, we're not getting on this one because there's 4 people. And then the whole family was like, we're not going to split up. And then they come over the loudspeaker and go, Matthew Deitsch, come up, just Matthew. They're like, okay, we have 1 seat available. Are you guys going to split up or not? And I was like...
we just had to make the call right then.
It's like, yep. And then I was like, here's the rest of our euros, Andrew. I'm sorry. Like, it just is what it is.
Yep.
You know, because it was like already, I guess, in the system or whatever. Like, they called my name or whatever.
Well,
I mean,
Matthew
I guess if I
was the
would have
first
said
one.
no... If I would have said no.
If you would have said no, they would have given it to me. But the thing was, like, I was at the point where I was just like, whatever. And it was like a split-second decision. And it would have been, like, a lot on my Instagram story. I made this whole story about it. A lot of you guys probably saw it. And a lot of people actually talked to me about that story later.
Sob story.
Yeah, my sob story. But, like, a lot of people were like, dude, man, blah, blah, blah. That was an awesome story. But the cool thing is if we wouldn't have split up, we would have been screwed the next day. Because
you were the last one.
Because we were like, dude, there's no point in both of us getting stranded.
And also, you had been in Rome before, and like I feel like you definitely knew the area better. You know?
Okay. Not really. But honestly, if there was any case for that to be made... Dude, if there was any case for it to be made, it would have been that you stayed because you hadn't been there before, so you could see more of Rome because you've only been there for 1 day. I'd already been there for like 4 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the case could be made like, yo, you should stay so you can spend more time in Rome because you've only been there for 1 day.
Okay.
But I'm just saying. It doesn't matter. It's water under the bridge. I'm not salty. But the thing was...
You sure?
I'm a little bit salty. But the thing was, it wasn't a big deal, but the main thing was, like, I was just so bummed because I wanted to go home too, but then I had to, like, go back home and pack and find a new hostel and find a new...
Yeah,
figure out what I was going to do.
It also didn't help that after they were like, okay, go ahead. They're like, okay, enjoy your business class seat. And I was like, wait a second. Is that like the suite where you like lay down and stuff? He was like, I was like, is that Delta One? He's like, yeah, if that's what they call it in America. Yeah, you have a seat that lays down and all that.
So Matthew got like a 5-course meal and like got to lay down. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there like all sad and like had to lug my crap around trying to find the gate agent, and like the Delta desk was closed and I had to walk around forever. I had to sit on the phone for like an hour and like had to figure out what I was going to do, buy another train ticket, find another hostel, all this stuff. It wasn't the end of the world, but it was just like exhausting, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's just the worst part of traveling is figuring out all the logistics, and that whole day was just wasted on stupid logistics and like, you know, knowing that the next day I had to go back and do it all over again was just not fun. So anyways, I spent one more day in Rome. Matthew, how was the Delta One experience?
It was insane. Like, is really nice because normally, like on a long haul 11-hour flight, it
was like 9 hours.
It was 11.
Are you sure?
Mine was. That was the flight time. Said 11 hours.
Damn.
But anyway,
it was a flight to New York, so you had to like lay over in New York and then come to Atlanta.
So normally you're in just like a tiny little seat the whole time, and you know, Deltas. If you're flying Delta, even economy is not bad. I mean, you still get meals that are good. Like the food's not terrible. I mean, it's not like choice, but it's definitely edible. It's not like some airlines, but the Delta One definitely would recommend. But I just saw where they have some deal right now where they're like, this is a deal for them. If you want to fly from Atlanta to Barcelona, they're having like a deal for Delta Ones. The cheapest one is $3,000.
Holy shit.
So who knows how much that flight would have actually cost.
And we spent $300 on our buddy passes.
Yeah, the flight cost us $300 for the buddy pass. And so, yeah, but it was awesome. You get on the flight and they like serve you whatever you want, like a snack and a drink. And you have like a nice screen that pops out. The screen's pretty big. And then a little remote too. And there's like games on it. You can even, like the remote, you can turn it sideways and it can turn into like a gaming thing.
Like what kind of games?
Cool. Like, I don't even know.
Did
I
you
didn't even play any of them.
Oh. Some of the games that I played on mine are just like tic-tac-toe and like chess and Tetris and stuff like that.
I don't actually think the screens were like optimized for good games because it just had the normal Delta Studio games. I was like, I don't even know how I would use this controller. I think it's just like a typical airplane thing.
Yeah.
But the seat was super comfortable. You could definitely lay all the way down. They give you like real bedding, like a nice comforter that's made by some hotel company. I can't remember. I think it's like Weston. Like the same sheets they have at the hotel, same ones you get on the plane. It's like a real pillow.
It's not the same ones you get at the hotel, but it's just branded by Weston.
Yeah.
Like they spend a lot of money so that they get their name on there or whatever.
Yeah.
But
There was some nice hotel. I can't remember if it was Weston. You get like an actual
Hilton
real
or something.
pillow. You get a real like thick down comforter.
That's cool.
And they give you like this little travel goodie bag.
Did you sleep at all?
Oh yeah. I slept
Nice.
for like 5 hours on it.
Nice.
It was nice. Super comfortable. You have all this room to like sprawl out. Because normally where there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people across, there's basically 4. So it's pretty big. And then obviously the food was really good. They serve it to you on real like china. It's real plates. The glasses are actually glass. You get real silverware. And then they even like put this little cloth over your tray table before they serve you the food.
So it's like a tablecloth
Yeah.
that they like remove. So if you get crumbs on it, it'll That's nice.
It's funny. And then they would come around like every hour with a tray of hot cookies, an ice cream bar, and all these like desserts that were amazing.
Damn.
It was crazy. Yeah, I was so amazed when they're like, for dessert, would you like an ice cream sundae? And I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be something in a cup. No, they literally had scooped whatever flavor ice cream you want, put whatever toppings you wanted, and then they had like sauces too. It was crazy. And then all the like beer and wine on the flight was like really good and all free and unlimited. Like I got a glass of wine and the lady just keeps coming by like every like 15 minutes just to top it off, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm good. I don't want any more.
They're just trying to get you drunk.
Yeah. But
They're trying to get you happy
they were trying to
and
get
drunk.
you spaghetted.
Yeah.
But
not as drunk as I did. Jeez.
yeah, but that flight was amazing. It was the first flight where getting off the airplane, I was like, dang, I wish this flight was actually longer because it was kind of weird. But the only bad thing was they served you all the food in the beginning, and then since it was like really, I felt like everybody around me was like loaded kind of, and I was just like,
They're spending $3,000 on each
and
seat.
everybody already was in there all tucked in and had their stuff, and here I am like 30 minutes later getting on the plane with my giant backpack and like
Did you seem out of place?
Everybody could tell. Yeah, I seemed very kind of out of place.
Well,
even
at
though
least
I was
you were wearing your
a
collared shirt. I told you to do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I was gonna do that already.
Okay, good.
Because that's what the email said. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, there was people definitely around me like being obnoxious to the flight attendants. Like every 10 minutes they would ding the bell and ask them for something, and I was just like, okay, they know I'm on standby, and here these people are like treating me like a king, and I'm just like one of them. I don't want to be that guy that's just like obnoxious. So I probably could have asked for like more food and stuff, but like I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so my experience was very different. I basically went and got a hostel. Oh yeah, and then you made it on your connection flight and you flew economy.
Yeah,
on the
but
way.
I thought I wasn't gonna make it on, but luckily, shout out Tom. It's like, you can come stay with me.
Nice.
It's like that would have actually been kind of cool because I've
never been to New
still
York
never
City.
been to New York. Well, I have, but it was
Like for a day.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
real.
Luckily, we're going to New York City in like a month.
Yeah.
But anyways, so my experience was I went back and got a hostel, the nicest hostel I've ever been in, honestly. Super awesome. And it was really cheap, actually. It was only like $30, like 30 euros. And it had like its own bedroom and all this stuff. A couple nice girls there. They were staying in my room. Went and like got some good food. Hung out at the Trevi Fountain for a little bit. Went to the Spanish Steps for a little bit. And then pretty much just kind of hung out. And I think I worked on some podcast stuff earlier in the day. Also, I was like making my story about how I was like stuck in Rome and blah, blah, blah. But
yeah, you made that thing so dramatic.
I know.
You're like, and my brother left me. All this stuff.
It was pretty funny.
You made it sound like it was the worst thing in the world.
No, but honestly, I was just in disbelief because that was like not one of the options in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was thinking like we both didn't get on or we both didn't. And you know how like normally if you're traveling solo, you would like show up at your hostel during the day or something and maybe like you'd be able to meet some people there and whatever. But I was showing up at the hostel at like, because we didn't get on that flight you got on was at what, like 3 p.m.?
No.
1 p.m.
Yeah.
1:30, 2:30. So by the time I got to the hostel, it was like 4 because I had to I ended up going and eating something. Then I went and got on the train, and then I was on the phone with the Delta for a long time and all this stuff. So basically, by the time I got to the hostel, it was like 4:30 or 5. And at that point, there's no one in the hostel. Everyone's out doing stuff. So I didn't have anyone to meet. I was just by myself. It was just kind of and I was just really keen on going home, and I was just by myself. It just felt just a crappy way to end the trip. But anyways, here Andrew is complaining about being stuck in Rome, and I addressed that in this story, but anyways, the next day I ended up, same kind of situation, didn't get on the first flight, didn't get on the second flight, didn't get on the third flight, and then there was a fourth flight to New York, same flight Matthew got on, and the same thing happened where there was one seat left, there was a family, or 2 people, and they didn't want to split up, I think, and I got on. So luckily, same thing happened where there was only one seat. So if we would have decided to stick together that first day, we would have been screwed again the second day and been forced to split up again.
Yeah.
So we made the right move. I was never been happier to sit in a middle seat on economy in my life. And
also,
honestly, the flight's not bad.
The middle seats on the international flights, I'm pretty sure they make them a little wider than they normally are when you're on your typical 3 and 3 because there's 4 across.
Yeah, it is nice.
It's
not too bad.
Middle row.
There was also ice cream. I did get ice cream, a Magnum bar, which is nice.
Oh.
I also
I've never gotten a Magnum bar in international flight.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
It's usually that little cup with the paper thing on top.
Yeah, no, I got a Magnum bar. You could choose to get the something else that was like that, but a sorbet kind of thing, a fruity kind of thing, but also the food was pretty good. Got a chicken ravioli kind of thing or something like that. I don't remember. Chicken pasta. Food was decent. Can't complain about it. Snacks were all good. They come by all the time, giving you drinks, bottles of water, all that kind of stuff. So I was fine. And then I also just barely made my connection flight in New York too. So
you almost missed it, or you thought you were going to get on?
I was waiting. They called me up and they said it's last call for 7 people. Chances are some of them are going to miss it. And I was one of the first people. And there was a couple people behind me that did end up getting on. They were standby as well, but it was cutting it pretty close.
And the weird thing about mine was it said, because on the app it'll tell you how many seats are available and how many people are on the list. Mine, it said there was, by the time everybody was on the plane, it said there was 0 seats available and there was 15 people waiting to get on. So I thought there was no way I was getting on. And somehow they just kept letting people on. And then once I got on the flight even, there was 4 or 5 seats open.
I think it's
crazy.
And I think it's because...
probably because people miss connection flights because it was also thunderstorming that day at JFK.
Yeah, well, the other thing is it was a domestic flight. Domestic flights, I feel are way less important. People miss them, or they buy a ticket and then don't go, or business trip and then it gets canceled and they still have a ticket, or whatever it ends up being. And with an international flight, people aren't missing that because those tickets are expensive.
Yeah.
So there's no way you're missing that. There are a couple people that were cutting it real close, but unless it's a connection flight, you're probably not going to miss that international flight. Mm-hmm. So it's just way more risky to take an international standby, especially in peak season like we did. And luckily Matthew got on and got a pretty awesome deal out of it. I ended up getting the short end of the stick there, but honestly, can't complain. Still got an international flight for $300. Cannot freaking complain about that. And then we got home, and it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And now we're back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
Did it feel weird when you came back?
Not really.
Yeah, it's same old thing.
It's just dang, all these cars are huge, and the lanes are big, and there's a lot of fat people.
And public transportation sucks.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing that's kind of funny is we actually, we spent 6 weeks together every single day. Pretty much every waking moment we were together, which we haven't really done that since we were kids maybe. And even then, you don't spend every minute of every day together. We were literally together pretty much every minute of every day.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weird.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. I mean, when did we ever... I mean, the only times we ever, split up was, maybe a little bit at the music festivals.
Yeah.
At Saget when you ended up going and I ended up staying. And... I mean, that was pretty much it. And we've kind of like, I think subconsciously taken a break from each other the past like week or two. We've been kind of like, okay, like nothing ever really happened. We only fought like 1 or 2 times and had like a couple little dumb arguments about some stupid stuff. But like, you know, we were pretty like agreeable the whole time, which is pretty good. I don't think most people could say that about their brothers.
Also, a travel tip, if you're traveling with other people, I've learned this from a lot of other people that I've met traveling. It works out much better if you have a designated person in your group to be in charge of one city, because then it just leaves a lot of the decision make, because that's mainly like where a lot of the conflict happens. Like, oh, one person wants to do this and one person wants to do that. It's better just to have like, okay, this person's going to be in charge while we're at this place, and this person's going to be in charge. So just delegating every city, or delegating, okay, you're going to do all the accommodations, or you're going to do all of this. And I think that honestly helped, because like when we were in Budapest or some of the cities, I felt like I did a lot of the booking, and then the places you had been, you were kind of in charge of it more. So it just took a lot of anything that could have had conflict, really, not really, because...
Yeah, and there wasn't really that much conflict of interest of like what we were going to do that much. Yeah. I mean, and like honestly, this is my biggest tip too, is like I love going to like international events. And if you think you might be interested in doing something like that,
go solo.
Pick one to go to and then plan like a trip kind of around that. So our big thing was Tomorrowland. We knew we were going to do both weekends of Tomorrowland, and then we also wanted to go to Goodwood too. So it's like, okay, we want to go here and we want to go here. What's the weirdest, cheapest, zigzaggy way we can go see a bunch of other stuff in between, and then like kind of plan a trip around that? Because if you're going to go all the way to Europe, like just to go to Tomorrowland, it's kind of not really worth it.
And also, this is something I was reading on another website, like find a deal to a place and then figure out why you want to go there. There's always a reason to go anywhere.
So true.
And that's really honestly... I feel like that's the theme of our trip. Like, we were just like, well, you go on Skyscanner, find the cheapest place to fly to next, and that's where we go, pretty much. Like,
yeah, and I mean, like, honestly, and the other thing that was, you know, our missed flight that we missed going from Vienna to Rome was only $50, 50 euros.
And then I think
there's no flights in America that are 50 euros.
And I think when we rebooked it, it was only 130 to rebook it anyway.
Yeah, was not bad. Whereas, like, right now, we're freaking out about trying to get to Columbus, and the tickets are, like, 300, and a week ago, they were, like, 150.
440 now. Yeah.
Why didn't we buy them last night?
I don't know.
We should have bought them when they dropped to 330 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like I'm really exhausted talking about our trip. Yeah, I'm pretty done. So I feel like this is a good place to wrap things up. We went for over 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. Almost 3 hours.
Nice.
So any other, like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Any other things to add?
Not really.
My final thing is travel as much as possible. And, you know, even though like we spent a lot of money on this trip, there's way more ways to do a budget trip. And also... experiences are some of the only things that people can't take away from you. You can always lose your... Oh, I'm going to start a new recording on this. I've been recording video. If you're listening to the audio, it's one of the first times I've recorded video the whole time. But my camera stops recording every 30 minutes, which is super annoying. But just so I have this on camera, the thing that I would recommend is travel as much as possible. Go to as many cool things as possible, especially events. I love, again, going to international events. It's so cool to be able to, you know, like, we went to Wimbledon, we went to Lovebox, we went to Goodwood, we went to Szeged, we went to Tomorrowland, you know. We went to all these, like, events, all these big things, and it's really cool to experience those because you're going to meet a lot of people from all over the world. You're going to meet like-minded people. It's just like a global gathering a lot of times. And it's just like super awesome to have those experiences under your belt.
If you don't have anybody to go with, go by yourself. Like, I mean, you can listen to the podcast I did before, but solo traveling is a lot of fun.
It is. You meet a lot of cool people. And honestly, like, people always ask me what the coolest thing about like Tomorrowland is. The coolest thing about Tomorrowland is always the people, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You meet so many people around the world, and having valuable, real friendships in other countries is one of the most like valuable things in the world, because like, you know, for example, when we went to Tomorrowland, we were able to stay with our friend David. Now we're able to stay with our friend Jan. We're able to, if we go to Hong Kong, we can stay with our friend Aaron. You know, I was able to stay with our friends in Spain. Like, it's so dope to be able to have friends that live in other areas because you can visit them. And a big part of traveling is accommodations. And if you can stay with friends, that knocks out your accommodations. You're probably going to be able to cook in their kitchen. They might cook for you, so food is a lot cheaper. Like, it's just so much better. And like, really be intentional about like trying to form new friendships, because like that's one of the most valuable things you can get out of a trip.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like that wrapped things up, man.
Yeah,
and thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll talk to you later. Bye. All right. Thank you, Matthew, for being on the show yet again. Make sure you go follow him on IG and all that fun stuff. Also, if you made it to the end of the episode, probably means you enjoyed this conversation and you want more. I would highly recommend going back to episode 51 and 67. If you haven't, those are the other episodes with Matthew that we recorded before this. And also, if you enjoyed travel episodes, then go listen to episode 98 with Claudia Jakubiak. That was an awesome episode just a couple episodes ago. But she's an avid traveler. She's constantly seeking to deepen human connections and better understand the world. And she has a travel blog called The Travel Critic, where she shows everyone the best places to eat, stay, and play all over the world. And during our conversation, she shared her story of coming here as a Polish immigrant, learning English as a second language, her battle with depression in college, and why traveling has become so important to her mental health, her confidence, and her purpose. And again, that was episode 98 with Claudia Jakubiak. Episode 101 is coming up next with someone who is another amazing creator and world traveler, Preston Summerow. And I've known Preston for quite some time. He's always someone I've really looked up to as far as doing his own thing and relentlessly pursuing his dreams and ideas. But he's been making videos since he was in middle school, and he really hasn't stopped since. And he's actually the first person I knew to own a drone. And after he graduated from UGA, he moved to Australia for a bit and launched his brand Preston Goes, which is really just all about Preston's travels and his adventures. And during our conversation, we talked about what it takes to be successful as a creator, traveling. In high school, he threw a crazy party that was completely sober, no alcohol. That was crazy. Moving to Australia, quitting his job to be his own boss, and so much more. And I love talking to Preston. This is the first episode to be recorded in what has become the Andrew Deitsch Podcast Studio. Pretty cool stuff. That episode will be out next week, so stay tuned. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to go to my iTunes and rate the podcast. And really, I mean, I say that all the time, rating the podcast. I don't really know how much good that rating the podcast really does, but it helps, you know, like when people stumble upon the episodes and see that there's a bunch of 5-star reviews and, you know, a bunch of ratings on there. It gives the podcast more credibility for sure, but also the best way to you know, promote this podcast is to share it with your friends. You know, when people are talking about podcasts, oh cool, what's your favorite podcast, blah 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 blah, you know, there's no shame in like saying that your friend has a cool podcast, you know, like sharing the fact that your friend has a podcast. I mean, if you enjoy it, of course. Like if you're listening to this episode right now, if you're listening to my voice right now, you probably enjoyed the podcast. So, you know, sharing it. Shout out to Xavier. He just sent me a screenshot of him promoting my podcast on a blind date that he went on, which is pretty hilarious. So anyways, if you want to follow me on social media, go to my website, andrewdeitsch.com. You can find all the links there. And really, thank you guys so much. If this is your first time listening, or if you've listened to every single episode, I appreciate you all the same. So thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you in the next one.
Testicles. Testes. Test.
Testosterone. Testicles.
Testament.
Testoster poos.
Hello.
All right.